are entering ENC's Pod of Awesomeness.
So, here's the deal, bird.
So you're just chomping away, huh?
Well,
That's what I was going to do now. Your smoke detector annoys people, and now they have to hear you smacking your food around your mouth.
Yeah, I got cilantro stuck in my teeth, and I got some kale, and some cabbage, and you guys can deal with it. Because everybody complained about my smoke detector. Oh, change the smoke detector's battery. Okay, you're all a bunch of Fire Marshal Bills. I get it. Yeah, you all have your advice.
That's
I don't want to hear it. I don't care. Well, I mean, I do care if my smoke detector works. No, I don't mean that. I mean the fact that you're all complaining about a damn beep every 30 seconds, maybe in the background. Whatever. And so now, just to show you guys, I fixed the damn smoke detector. It works now. And now I'm going to chomp on some salad just to annoy you guys because I am a natural heel. And that's what I got paid to do. So,
I liked it better when you ate cookies and donuts because at least they didn't make any noise when you ate them.
And I got fat, so you can make fun of me.
Yeah. So,
Now,
other than
now I'm
eating
getting
a
all
leafy
super lean, brother.
other than eating a leafy salad, what do you got going on?
Well, I'm about to crack open once again, even though they don't advertise on our show. Hold on. Oh, there it is.
Oh, by the way, somebody tweeted us about trying that drink after you said so.
My Goyaki organic blend yerba mate today once again is enlightenment. It's changing my life.
Yeah. Well,
in a good way.
I'm not going to try them until they sponsor the show.
In a good way, Bird.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Making me very excited.
Yeah. I guess we should probably start off, sending our best wishes to Ric Flair.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Obviously some unfortunate news there. Obviously, Rick is widely regarded as the greatest wrestler that ever lived. He's the nature boy. Everybody knows who Rick is. He transcends the wrestling business. So, some unfortunate news, and just hopefully that keeping him and his family in our thoughts at this point.
Yeah. I've tried not to. I don't want to bug Ashley or anybody,
right.
But they got. She knows that we're definitely thinking of them, and Rick was and has been an important part. Outside of wrestling, yes, everyone
right.
grew up on him. Yes, he's crossed cultural. He's a pop culture icon. He's the guy that gets asked to go to Atlanta Falcons training camp, or LeBron James or the 49ers. Like, everybody knows who Ric Flair is. Everybody knows the Woo, and Conor McGregor's fashioned his entire persona after Ric Flair,
right.
And it's strange when our touchstones of our childhood and our teenagehood, these things start to happen.
Right.
And yeah, all you can do is, send out positive vibes, and hope he comes strutting back.
And it's funny too. Like we talked about it too before on the podcast, where when you grow up idolizing somebody, they're a superstar in your eyes, and Rick truly was and is a superstar in the wrestling business and beyond. And sometimes when you meet those people, they don't quite live up to your expectations sometimes, or you're let down a little bit. But Rick was like, he was Rick, right? That's him. He's always excited. He loves being around people. But the cool thing for me was, it wasn't just, we talked a lot about wrestling and things like that whenever we talked, but we always talked about other things too. We talked about hockey. He loved hockey, so we always talked a lot about hockey. And then he'd be like, "Where's my Canadians? I want to talk about some hockey." So it's like we had a relationship even beyond wrestling, which I thought was pretty cool, and something I never thought I'd have as a kid. Watching him on TV and reading about him in magazines that. He'd be actively searching me out backstage at shows when he came because he wanted to talk some hockey. That just blows my mind.
Yeah. One of a kind gets thrown around, and I've said it. And the Roddies and Dusties and Macho Mans and the Ric Flairs and the Hulk Hogans, they are one of a kind.
Right.
They're their own huge star in the stratosphere. And Rick, gosh, there's certain things that you never think as a kid growing up.
Mm-hmm.
That you'll be a peer with these
right.
folks because you just don't know. You don't know if they're still going to be wrestling, still be in the industry, all of those things. But to fast forward however many years later, and I just remember doing my Ric Flair impersonation on the New Jersey Turnpike for a promo as we're doing an angle, and I'm wearing, Rick gave me his actual robe to wear for that skit, for that pre-tape.
Yeah.
So I'm wearing Ric Flair's pink robe, which just to totally blow my mind some more, I got the girls those little Funko Pop vinyl, toys, and we got the Ric Flair one. On that, he's wearing the pink robe that I wore in that pre-tape, and it's just so crazy to me that things like that happen. So I do that. Rick's, loving it. I'm wearing his robe. I'm doing a bad figure four in the middle of the Turnpike in November in my underwear, Argyle socks, and dress shoes. And it's just so much fun, and he was just so open to it and everything. And then, I'm having one of my first world title defenses against him in a TLC match in Raleigh. And for him to, he's told me the story, and he said it in his Hall of Fame speech, and he got me. The bastard, he got me because he said he got the call from Michael, and he said, "Who am I doing this match with? He's never done one before. I don't know if I can do it. You're doing it with Edge. Okay, I'll be fine." To get that kind of tip of the hat from Ric Flair.
Yeah. And speaking of tip of the hats, and to get something like that from Ric Flair, I have a story that's kind of similar, and I've never told this to anybody. I don't think I've even told you it. We were on a tour, and we were overseas, and we were flying back, and we were on the flight, and he and I were just standing somewhere on the plane, and we were just having a chat. And he just out of the blue said, "I've watched all your matches on this tour, and I'm just blown away with how good you are." And I said, "Oh, well, Rick, I really appreciate that. That means a lot coming from you." He goes, "You have this ability to, whether you're winning or losing, to make your opponent and always have them believe that you're going to lose. And when you win, have them wonder how you won, and you make yourself, and more importantly, you make your opponent at the same time. And that's a quality and ability that's kind of lost now. Not a lot of people have that." And he said, it reminds me of when I was champion, and I was kind of champion where the same thing, made people, but also they believe that you can lose that title on every single night. And he said this, he said, "If I was booking this show, you would be the champion." And I was like, whoa, he
was the master of that.
That blew me away, and I've never told that story to anybody before, but it meant a lot to me, and I carried that with me still to this day, that Ric Flair would even think that highly of me to say something like that, and how much I appreciate it. I'm saying it, obviously.
To come from him, because he was the master of that. Yeah. He has to fly to Guam and make the local Guam guy look like he's going to be a world champion and go 60 minutes with him.
Right.
Ric Flair set the template for that. Mm-hmm. And to your point, that was one thing when I was champ that I always wanted to have that feeling like, okay, that dude could lose it tonight.
Right.
He's wrestling Batista. Ain't no way he's going to beat Batista. Are you kidding me? And Flair, ain't no way he's going to beat Lex Luger or Sting.
Yeah.
Or
Barry Windham. Yeah.
Or one of the Road Warriors or Nikita Koloff or just – and it always kept that question in the air like, okay, the title's going to change tonight. I don't care if it's a house show in Jackson, Mississippi. I don't care if it's – a TV taping in Greensboro.
Right.
There's a chance Ric Flair could lose the World Heavyweight Championship tonight, and I'm going to see it. And if it happens and he's wearing a suit, he's going to rip his suit off and drop an elbow on the suit. Even man, I think back and how much he influenced. So WrestleMania, my last match, unbeknownst to all of us, we're beating up Alberto's Rolls Royce or whatever it was.
Yeah.
The big old tank that was like a 1984 or whatever, indestructible.
Yeah.
And I thought, what can I do here? I'm going to drop an elbow on it like Rick would. I'm going to drop an elbow on the roof of this car because I saw Ric Flair do it to a suit. When I destroyed the computer that was the GM of Raw, I dropped an elbow on it, and I dropped an elbow on it because of Ric Flair.
Yeah.
And then, I don't want to go too far, too in depth, but I will just say that Ric Flair is the only person that I've met that I can honestly say has a twinkle in his eye.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever noticed it, but if you talk to Rick, you look and it's like, man, his eye twinkles.
Yeah, I mean, that's the nature. That's his, the hold he has over people. Like when he goes into a room, he holds court. People want to hear stories from the Nature Boy. They want to be around him. He's got a magnetic personality and an aura, and he's a superstar. And people, he's the type of person too that if you're having a conversation, a good time with him, he makes everybody in the room feel important, right? So it's that's the nature.
And one thing I will say is that it doesn't matter, who you are in terms of, like, I remember at WrestleMania, one of the WrestleManias, I think it was the one where I went in the Hall of Fame, so it was 2012, and the next morning after, my cousin Matt and my mom said, yeah, we were up with Rick till 4. I'm like, my cousin Matt and my mom stayed up drinking with Ric Flair all night. That's great. So, anyway, we all you can do is just, like I said, I'll throw up positive stuff up into the atmosphere, and that's hopefully everything works out for the best.
He comes strutting through the other side.
Yep. So, Bird, since we're going to talk about, smoke detectors and meat eating and all of those things, one thing I would like to talk about is that I could hear some lawnmowers in the background. There, bud?
Yeah,
there,
it's
Bird?
over at my neighbor's house. They obviously don't know the Birdman's in here recording. I just go to the door and I caw at them. I'm like, caw, and I flap in my wings, and they're just like, what's this guy doing? And they go back to mowing. I guess they don't get the code.
It doesn't work? Well, see, you got to do what I do, is just don't have neighbors. I'm the big hairy guy.
Maybe I'll just buy all the houses on my block.
There you go. Bird City.
A bunch of I just use one as a walk-in closet.
Yeah, there you go. You egotistical prick. Although I guess me saying I have no neighbors kind of sounds that way too. But it could just mean I live in a shack in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we got the big ones coming up.
The big ones
also. The NXT
plural
takeover Brooklyn and SummerSlam.
Wait, so would it be big ones then? Because wouldn't one be singular?
Well, the big one is, NXT TakeOver Brooklyn is a big one, and then that would be the big one for Saturday, and the big one for Sunday would be SummerSlam.
Oh, per day. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's how I want to clear that up, Bird, because I'm a little anal.
Right. So
when it comes to words. Yeah, it's an exciting weekend, and it snuck up. Me and Meg and Matt were talking about it. It snuck up. It snuck up. I don't think we actually knew the date initially either, so that didn't help, but it really did sneak up. SummerSlam, amazing. I gotta say Royal Rumble is my second favorite pay-per-view, but really? SummerSlam is, just because of the Rumble match itself. Now, SummerSlam is right there neck and neck with it, though, because some of my favorite matches ever have happened at SummerSlam. Yeah, we got Mr. Perfect and Bret Hart for the Intercontinental Championship. Don't cut me off, Bird, because I'm getting excited. That Guyaki yerba mate just kicked in. I felt it. I am enlightened with mint. Oh, God.
Right, get to your point.
I'm popping my pecs right now, even though one's torn. It looks like
finish your point, or
somebody golfed out of my armpit. So matches at SummerSlam, WrestleMania. I'm getting way too fired up. I'm all over the place now. Some of my favorite matches at SummerSlam, and I was going to put you over.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, now you want me to finish my point. Yeah, now you got time for it. One of my favorite SummerSlam matches was you and young Randall Barry Orton. Mm-hmm. No holds barred or no disqualification, was it?
You played a part in that as well.
I did, but was it no DQ?
It was a no holds barred match.
No holds barred. Just like the great movie starring Rip and Zeus. Brother. No, you were blue and white.
Barred.
So weird.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to have some little chat skis about that coming up in the near future. Yeah. Don't want to. We're just dropping hints here. Basically, we're trying to whet your appetite with possibility of maybe an anatomy of a match.
All right. We don't want to Borton you with the details.
Oh man.
What?
That was bad.
What did I say?
That made me snort. That was really bad. I also remember a best 2 out of 3 falls Demolition with Crush. Demolition against the Hart Foundation being a very spectacular match.
Yeah.
What other ones have taken place? And Brett Cage. I mean, Brett's a very SummerSlam. Like he might be Mr. SummerSlam.
Well, let me tell you. So
if Sean's Mr. WrestleMania, Brett might be Mr. SummerSlam.
Right. So I remember the very first SummerSlam, right? The very first one. And I was down at my grandparents' place just outside Philadelphia. And we had to go to
Morristown.
We had to go to some family function. But a friend of mine that lived around the corner, he was getting the pay-per-view at the time at his house. So, of course, I was trying to get out of the family function and go to this, and I wasn't allowed. So I actually went and I had taken some videotapes or something with me, and I'd given him a videotape and said, hey, could you record this for me at least, and I can watch it the next day. So he recorded it, but not being too smart, I guess I didn't rewind the tape. And
there you go.
It ran out of tape like before the main event matches, so it caught like the first, like I'd say almost 3/4 of the show.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you recorded over something else.
No, but we.
Mr. Doherty.
Yeah.
All right.
Now you threw me off. So I just remember the feel of that pay-per-view and getting, and then I brought it home and I showed it to you, and I remember Morocco wrestling and Superstar Billy Graham when he was on commentary, and I also remember that was when the Ultimate Warrior came out and beat Honky Tonk Man for the Intercontinental Championship, and I just remember watching that over and over and over again, and I just remember the commentary from Superstar Graham and Gorilla Monsoon, and I remember when Honky was doing the promo. He's like, get me someone out of the back to wrestle. I don't care who it is. And then Superstar's like, oh, don't say that, brother. There's a lot of people back there would take this man apart. And then Jimmy's like, Jimmy Hart's like, we're waiting. And then you get, that's the music. That's the million music,
that's
brother.
The million music, brother.
And then he hits the ropes to do the thing, and then they're watching the replay, and Superstar goes, he hits him with that big body on, and then Gorilla goes, what a splash! And that's ingrained in my memory for some reason. But yeah, that was my recollection of the very first SummerSlam. But who knew that it would turn into the spectacle that is now basically regarded as the second biggest pay-per-view of the year behind WrestleMania. And honestly, over the last couple of years of my career, almost became my WrestleMania because I was injured a couple times around WrestleMania time. So to me, the one thing I had to look forward to was SummerSlam, and that became my WrestleMania, which is why I think SummerSlam is also so important to me. Also, along with the TLC matches that we did, years previous, it's always been a special PPV to me, brother.
Well, and it's interesting too where it falls in the calendar. It's the halfway point, right? So either you get angles started there that finish at Mania, or possibly start at Mania and finish at SummerSlam. And one thing that I didn't realize until a tweeter, a Hosier, brought it up, is that, and I didn't realize this, and I'm going to sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but I was like, wow, that's a kind of cool feather to have in my cap that I didn't realize, that Taker and I were the only guys to main event WrestleMania and SummerSlam in the same year.
Oh, well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't really think of it. I don't think of stuff like that. Yeah. So when somebody pointed it out, I was like, well, hot damn. Like, that's pretty cool. That says something about the angle, that the fact that the company trusted enough to be able to basically take the top 2 pay-per-views, and we main evented them both that year. Yeah, it kind of blew my mind a little bit. And for me, I would say that Hell in a Cell was, I remember going into that, and a little story about that Hell in a Cell. We got from Vince the edict that day that there would be no color in the match. And I had put together this whole thing in my head that involved color, and also involved me taking a choke slam through the panel, through 2 tables, this whole thing. And I know I have it written down somewhere. And then, that just wasn't going to work, and the color wasn't going to work. And he goes, I was mad. And I remember saying to Vince that day, this is the most disappointed I've ever been. in a decision that I've had to, try and make do with, I guess, in this company. Because I really was. I thought this is the culmination of a year and a half angle. There has to be that. Mm-hmm. There has to be color. And I wasn't thinking further down the road, the bigger picture, all of the things that Vince has to think about. And in hindsight, he was right. He was right, and what he said that day was completely right. He said, I trust you two to be able to set the template for what a Hell in a Cell will be going forward. And I was like, oh, well, shit. What do you say to that? There's the challenge. All right. So the challenge is we got to figure out a way to do this then. Yeah. And I think we did. It still got in the story that I wanted to get across. I said to Take, I was like, I want you to do everything to me in succession what I did to you over this year and a half. Everything, camera, spear, all of the things that I did to you, you now do it to me, plus a tombstone for the finish, plus then the choke slam, through the ring into the fiery abyss below, brother, which is another story for another day, which involves Michael Hayes, and we could get into it right now. Yeah. It's up to you. Or am I talking too much?
No, Felix is here.
Oh, there's Felix Cats too. He's back. He just made it back from our place.
Yeah, he's back. Felix. Oh, gosh. He's really stressed out there. Hold on a second.
So, there he goes, everybody. So now, let's just put this all out on the table now. Everybody's complaining about my smoke detector, right? A little chirp here and there. Now we have lawnmowers in the background. We have Cats obviously distressed because they're no longer hanging out with me. All of this is happening at the Birdman's house as we speak. So nobody can sweat me on my smoke detectors anymore. And they're fixed, damn it. I'm probably a little sensitive on this. Mind you, I was chewing kale in all of your ears earlier.
He's all right.
And I'm still picking steak out of my... He's okay.
Yeah, he's good. He was just hungry.
Yeah?
Yeah. I had to feed him.
What, don't you feed him?
I do, but apparently he wanted...
He's still hungry.
Yeah. So what were you saying? Sorry?
Never had that problem at my place when he was here. So do you want me to go any more in depth on the story of the going to hell, or do you want me to save that for another pod?
I'm down for it. Let's listen to the story there with old PS. Here we go, Hayes.
Well, I mean, he's such an important part of the show. Again, unbeknownst to him, I'm sure.
We should have him on.
We gotta have him on. Yeah. Because, and let me preface all of this with the fact of how important Michael Hayes has been to our career. And I know I gave him some kudos during my Hall of Fame acceptance speech, but I also had to bust his chops a little bit too, because, hey, it's Michael. But he, from day one, man, I mean, so here's the deal with Michael, and then I will tell the SummerSlam story, but I feel like I gotta, because this story is pretty funny, so I want to make sure that everyone knows how much I respect Michael. The fact that he was basically the person that gave me the A-OK with The Office, and here's why. So I was doing a Tony Condello tour. Mm-hmm. I'd been training with you, like we've talked about, out at Brett's place. Brett put in the word. They're sending me down after this Condello tour from like Cat Lake, Ontario, down to Stamford, pick me up, limo the first time, blah, blah, blah. I walk into the studio, which is now the television studio. They had one ring there, and Michael Hayes is standing in the ring. Him and I wrestle. Cold, completely cold. Call it all in there. There's nobody there. And hits me with the stiffest left jab DDT combination I've ever felt in my life. But I didn't complain. I didn't say a word. I was like, okay, I think it chipped all my teeth from the impact of the DDT. But I figured, okay, that might be a test. And I think it was. But he vouched for me. And I don't know if he saw a little bit of his entrance and his flair and what we could do, but then with the Brood, and then he was with the Hardys, and he was an agent for all of the TLC matches, because we all had a very close rapport with Michael to the point where we would eat afterward together at the Outback and all of these things. So fast forward past your Felix being angry about still being hungry, and we got Hell in a Cell, SummerSlam, culmination, me and Taker. First time, no color, all of these things. So, after the finish, we had talked about this, choke slam to hell kind of thing as a basically to make up for the bump that I wanted to take through the cage, through 2 tables, to the mat, barbed wire, thumbtacks, blood, all that stuff. I think maybe a flaming table in there too. But instead, it was, what about taking a choke slam off a ladder through the ring? And then the night before, we got there to see what size the panel was. Well, the panel is actually smaller than my height.
Wow.
Yeah. So could go really wrong. And, if you watch me take it, I really had to kind of crunch in order to make sure that the back of my head didn't clip off a beam. And Michael, to his eternal credit, said, well, I'll do it first. And I was like, Michael, no, you don't got to do this cold.
Yeah.
And you haven't bumped in I don't know how long. And this is going to be it's a heavy bump, because when you go through, the canvas stops you like very marginally. Right. And then you're landing on a flat blue mat because it couldn't be seen.
Right.
So it was not it wasn't like a huge crash pad or anything like that, because the canvas would get stuck on it and you'd see it. So it had to be a small mat. And you're taking a choke slam off of a ladder.
Right.
So it's not an easy bump to begin with, even if it was just on the canvas itself. So like, Michael, dude, you don't need to do this. I'll be fine. I'm not going to do it tonight because I think I got one of those in me, and I'm just going to have to do it hot after a 45-minute match when I'm warmed up and adrenaline and all of those things.
Yeah. Crowd's crazy. Yeah,
exactly. Michael, he said he was going to do it. So sure enough, we got those huge tarps up around the Hell in a Cell, so that people that are working in the building the night before don't see, so that nobody else on the card can see if they're working on their match, anything like that. And Michael starts climbing up that ladder, and I swear to you, it was okay. Here we go. And he psyched himself up, and he'd go to do it, and he'd hold on, and he'd go to do it and hold on, and go to do it, and then finally he was like, and he went. I went under the apron. I pulled up the apron to watch to see the impact that I could expect, and it rocked the shit out of him.
Wow.
Like, you could just tell. And he was like, oh, no, I'm good. And dude probably hadn't bumped in, 5-6 years at that point. And I just went, are you okay, Michael? He's like, yeah, no, I'm good. Never complained a bit.
Man.
Just got up, went, no, that's all right. And I could tell it sucked. And trust me, I took it the next day. It sucked.
Sure.
And that was while I was bumping full time. It knocked the wind out of you for sure. Man, I think and he never complained.
Well, I think,
and what a trooper, by the way. My point is, what a trooper as an agent to go, okay, we've come up with this possibly dangerous scenario. I'm gonna do it to make sure it's cool.
Well, I think too, it's his way of, he's coming up a lot of times with ideas for these matches. Like, hey, what about this? What about that? And it's sometimes a lot easier to say that than to actually, have to physically go out there and do it. And I think that's as far as all his contributions to that type of match, I think this was his one time where he could be like, you know what, I can really, be a part of it and show that, that I'm down with helping out any way I can and making this match work any way that I can. If that means that I go up there and take the first one, I'll do it, And I think that.
Well, and not only that, but it was also to appease me and my stupid ideas to try and make up for not taking a choke slam through the panel off a much higher cell than when Mick and Taker did it and do the tables and everything. Because I thought, well, the tables will break my fall. I'll be okay. Everybody vetoed it and instead came up with that. So now another interesting little tidbit off of that is when I landed, I had to scramble out of the way because then they lit it. Right? So now I see everybody under there, and they all have like these smoke masks on, these oxygen masks, and I'm like, "Well, what's going on here?" So I roll all the way over to the side, and they're holding me there and everything, and suddenly the all underneath is now smoke. Now I've just worked a 45-minute match, and taken one hell of a bump, and I got no air in my lungs. And I went, so now I start choking, and I'm under there like coughing and gagging and everything. I'm like, well, how do I not have one of those things?
Yeah.
And then they put me in one of the crew boxes, in one of the black crew boxes. They stuck me in a box to get me out of there, but we had to wait until we were off the air.
Oh man!
So I'm sitting there in a box in a smoked out, bottom of the ring, blown, and now like it was so crazy, but awesome too.
Yeah.
Those
are moments, right? So
it was a moment.
It was a big moment.
It was a moment, Bird, and we figured out a way to get out of the cell to be able to do some stuff around. It was just a lot of fun, and it was fun to try and, at that point in time, to Vince's point, set the template for what a Hell in a Cell would become.
Did he?
Because
was he happy after? Did he say that's what he was looking for? Or what was the feedback?
Yep. That's exactly what it can be going forward.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be gory. It doesn't have to involve bumps off the cage. If the challenge was you're good enough to be able to do it without that stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just mad at first, and then once I wrapped my mind around that, then it was like, all right, cool.
Man,
I love
sometimes
challenges.
too. I mean, we get stuck up on things that are crutches, right? Like, you need this for this match, and you need that. Whereas, and it doesn't make you think outside the box, or it kind of stunts your creativity in a sense too. Where when you're forced to get a little more creative, find things that work, like you said, without telling that same story, getting the same brutality across without having to do color. It makes you think, and it actually makes you better as a performer to think about things that aren't just the normal things that, okay, we know if we do this, it's going to work, Exactly.
And, it's one of those things that even years after I was still pissed about it. And then as I'm like, wow, he was right. And bigger picture for the company and all of those things, and seeing where it's come since then, I'm like, that's what he had in mind. I didn't see that because I didn't know. So right. I was just thinking about that night, the culmination of this, instead of looking at bigger picture. But it was a huge compliment in hindsight, and he was right in hindsight in that it was up to us to kind of change the course of what a Hell in a Cell could be. Yeah. And I think at least for that one, we lived up to it, and I was happy with it. I was very proud of it, and it was the culmination of one of my favorite angles of all time. My other one would be against John, and we had a match at SummerSlam in his hometown, which was, part of our whole angle and everything. But, what other matches from SummerSlam stick out for you, that we weren't involved in? We've talked about ourselves enough. We're damn egomaniacs. I think the Daniel Bryan and John Cena of recent memory sticks out when Daniel Bryan beat him clean. Just the kind of symbolically what that meant at the time. That was pretty, I think, recent memory off the top of my head. I think that was the one that kind of, for me, and I was on that card as well, and I had a really great match on that show as well with Alberto Del Rio. For the world title, which is, I was really proud of that match too, which was another great SummerSlam match. But so back to you again, basically.
No, I didn't mean to, but I kind of did.
Fake Christian laugh. All right, I love it. And
that'd be the one.
Well, and that one was interesting because that really was a changing of the guard. Mm. That was the truest sense of now that is possible. Now it is possible for that type of performer to actually break through. Because, Sean had done it, Brett had done it, but they were still different than Daniel Bryan. They were different than Bryan in that they were still like, Brett's like 6 feet, 235. He's a big man. Yeah. Sean's 6'1", 220. They're not small men. Mm-hmm. Bryan's an extremely gifted athlete, but he's not the biggest dude in the world. I think what is he, 5'9"?
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe, right? So that is truly, along with Ray, to me, those are the guys that really changed the fact that type of performer and athlete, as long as you have that connection and are allowed to, water that connection with the audience, can get there, do it. And, and kudos to John for being, the type of performer to understand that.
Right.
I'm trying to think. I know there was more back in the Disney.
I'm thinking too. I mean, you're thinking Bret Hart and British Bulldog,
of course. Intercontinental Championship main event for the first time at a major pay-per-view.
Right,
it's huge
at Wembley. So I mean, you think about that. In a different country.
It's such a great match.
Different continent. So yeah, it was a great match, great atmosphere, and
let's just put that.
When another event like that will take place in the UK, because they're kind of yearning for it too, which would be cool.
And put that in perspective, Wembley Stadium.
Right.
The pause there was on purpose. Like we're talking Queen. We're talking like the biggest bands in the world sell out Wembley.
Right. Foo Fighters.
Just the Freddie Mercury tribute, the Foo Fighters. Right. I mean. Wembley Stadium. Can you imagine? I just remember watching that going, oh my God. And then also thinking it was the best wrestling match I'd ever seen.
Yeah. If they do that, I might come out of retirement.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, even if they don't clear you, just like, I'm here.
I'll just show up in my boots.
You did get them out of the closet the other day.
I did. Yeah. I
did. So, SummerSlam, exciting stuff. TakeOver, exciting stuff. Fire-breathing dragon. Scottish Dragon, Drew McIntyre, Bobby Roode, Bobby.
By the way, I've been getting tons of great feedback on last week's interview with Drew McIntyre as well. If you haven't done so yet, do yourself a favor and check it out. And I think I threw a tweet out there earlier today. If you appreciate conversations with guys who talking about the wrestling business with passion and honesty, this is the kind of interview for you. So he did that. He was an open book, and it was really interesting to hear about that. So, it was getting a lot of positive feedback. So I'm glad that people liked it.
Yep. Interesting to watch his journey continue to unfold. And the fact that, has been around since he's 21. So he's a 10-year vet, which is crazy, but he's only 31. I mean, it's really with this mindset now, where he can go is, it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. I mean, hitting your prime in wrestling is different than other sports, right? I mean, other sports,
without a doubt.
Some guys are hitting their prime in their early to mid 20s, or with wrestling, it seems the guys hit it a little bit later, and I don't know what it is, but it seems to be the early 30s is kind of the norm for when guys are hitting their prime, and girls, are hitting their prime as far as performance goes, and tying it all together and taking the next, elevating your game and taking the next step. I don't know, just it's an observation.
And here's an observation as to possibly why, and this is real bullet point. But you think about other sports, you think about NFL, you think about NHL, all these things. I think performers a la Ray Lewis, when they're 35, 36, mentally, they're better than they were at 25.
Right.
Mentally. Physically, the body can't keep up with mentally what you're telling it. However, with wrestling, we can work around that because there's the entertainment aspect involved.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So you're now using your brain to come up with ways to work around your physical limitations, which, a 25-year-old linebacker from the Cincinnati Bengals does not care about that. But we, because we're entertainment, the other opponent can care about that. So we can all work together to make it this thing that can work. Mm-hmm. So if your brain's firing on all cylinders, that's the most important thing.
Right.
That's my take, Bird. I
got
a little deep there.
Yeah, you get a little deep, but no, that makes total sense. And also,
I've thought about it before, basically.
Yeah, and I think too with wrestlers too, it just takes some time to, like you said, it's almost like, I don't want to say manipulating, but I mean, working around things and how to garner the reactions, not necessarily just doing things for the sake of doing them just because they're going to get a holy shit reaction or whatever, but doing things that are going to garner a legitimate like connection, like character-based connection response, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. So that SummerSlam, big weekend coming up. However, we have some other things to talk about, Birdman.
All right, throw it out there.
There's a couple of things.
Stupid face.
It can be a stupid face sometimes. Yeah. Although I'm very happy because it's getting furry again. I'm growing the beard back out. I have to. It's part of the gig. But it also makes me happy. I feel like I'm gaining my strength back. I'm getting my mojo back. So my stupid face. Anyway, this week, Bray Wyatt did a version of the Bloodbath on Raw. And we got quite a few responses and questions and queries about how we felt about it. And my take is nothing's original because we got it from the Blade movie.
Yeah. I mean, and it's...
Yeah. Here's why I think it's awesome, because it makes people go, oh man, the Brood used to do that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's a different version of it too, right? Like,
It's a different version, and visually, it's a nice little tool to be able to use. I always look at things like that. Okay, that's a tip of the hat. Thanks, man. That's cool.
Yeah. No, I mean, I ain't mad at you. You know,
right?
It's I think it's a good little homage, so to speak, and I think that it did it in a different way where it's not the exact same thing, and it's been long enough since we've done it that it's fresh, and there's probably a whole audience of people that have never even seen it or even know what it is. So
exactly, and Bray's character,
right.
I mean, it's parts, Waylon Mercy, it's parts, our buddy Nick, it's parts Jake the Snake, it's now parts Brood, it's part Robert De Niro and Cape Fear, which is where Danny Spivey got it from initially. So there's nothing. You always take little bits and pieces of things that worked or you thought was cool. So I think this is just, if it was even his idea, who knows? I thought it was cool.
Yeah, it's fine by me.
Which is another question.
I'm not going to be using it anytime soon.
No, you're not on your Wembley Stadium SummerSlam comeback.
No. Well, maybe.
There you go.
Yeah.
Megamat also floated the question out to us about finishing moves, and if someone else starts using young Tyler Breeze, young Squire Breeze using the Unprettier / what else did you call it?
Kill Switch.
Kill Switch.
Right. So
way better name than Unprettier.
Yeah. Well, the Unprettier thing happened as kind of like a joke, right? Like I didn't even have a name for the finish, and we were doing our thing with the Hardy Boys, and I don't even know, we were somehow singing TLC songs.
TLC.
And we were going over a match, and we were...
What do you mean somehow? TLC was awesome.
Right. No, they were great. And so I said, I'll hit you with the finish, and and somebody, I think, jokingly said, oh, what's the finishing name? I said, the Unprettier. And we had just been singing the TLC stuff, and then Matt started laughing. He's like, what? I was like, yeah, because when I hit you with it, makes you feel so damn unpretty. And everybody kind of laughed, and we just started jokingly backstage calling it the Unprettier because it didn't have a name. And I think an announcer, it might have been Michael Cole, I don't know, overheard us talking about it and called it that on air, and it just stuck. And that's how, but I never thought that name did justice to, I thought, how kind of devastating the move looked.
Devastating, yeah.
So when I came back after being gone from WWE for a few years, my first meeting with Vince, I said, hey, I had this idea. I'd like to change the name of my finish. And I told him the reason why, and he's like, well, what were you thinking? And I said, I was thinking of the name, the Kill Switch. And he's like, I love it. It's great. So that was that. That was the conversation.
That was that. So you're okay with Tyler Breeze using it?
Well, so what happened was I'd obviously, retired, and he texted me and he said, hey, I have to change my finish up. I was thinking of using yours if you don't mind. I'm not sure, what's going on, but what do you think? And I said, hey man, it's all yours. I said, I appreciate you texting me and asking me. You didn't have to, but I appreciate it. And I said, honestly, for you, it'd actually be better if you just called it the Unprettier. And he said, yeah, that'd be great. Thanks. And so he actually texted me and to get my blessing, and he didn't he didn't have to. I think the general rule is that, obviously you don't use it if somebody else is using a finish. You don't use it especially not as just like a move somewhere in your match.
Yeah.
If it's somebody else's finish, or if somebody else is using it as a finish, you don't use it as a finish. That's the general rule. But if people are gone and, there's, like we said, it's very hard to do original things in this business, but yeah, sometimes things just get passed down or people put a different spin on something, and it is what it is. Like my finish, I saw Tommy Rogers use it on a Japanese. I was watching, I got a bunch of tapes when I was training to wrestle.
Tamikaze.
Yeah, the Tamikaze. And he did it a little bit differently than I did it. When I saw him do it, he hooked the guy, he spun the guy around, and he ran. He took 3 or 4 steps and kind of jumped in the air and did it. And it looked good. But I couldn't figure out how he spun the guy around, so I put it in slow motion, and I slow motion to see how he spun the guy around. And then when I was doing it in slow motion, in my head, I was like, wouldn't it just look more devastating and more like a finish if instead of running, when you get the guy spun, you just drop and drive him into the canvas. So was kind of my spin on that move. But I took the idea from Tommy Rogers. So nothing is 100% original. No. There's always different spins on it, and that's how I got that move.
And you didn't ask him because you didn't know,
I didn't know. No.
Well, and I did that one submission. I think I called it the educator
right.
or the education or something, which was kind of like, I looked at it as a reverse sharpshooter / ankle lock where I could be looking at the back of the head. And I think
right.
Sheamus has used it since. He didn't call and ask me. He didn't text me. I don't care. Again, I think it's kind of a tip of the hat. I think Sandow used every one of my moves. and then when he saw me, he was like, oh yeah, by the way, dude, is that cool? I was like, well, I mean, you've already done it, so it's a little late.
Yeah.
But yes, it's cool. And I like him, so I was just busting his chops. But yeah, I always look at that stuff as a little bit of the tip of the old hat ski.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's the general rule, right? Just, there's kind of unwritten rules of it. If somebody's using it that's established, and especially if it's an over finish, don't use it as just a move somewhere in your match. And
and here's another instance where I remember working Dolph at Royal Rumble, and the spear was banned from the move, Vicky, right. Yada yada, all this stuff, and you pitched the idea,
right? I called
to you.
Well, you called me to ask if you were like, hey, this is the kind of the story of the match, and I was off with an injury, and you had said, what do you think? Like, do you have any ideas for this? And we were just kind of pitching ideas back and forth. And I said, what if you just hit him with my finish? And you laughed. Like, I was joking. I was like, I'm not joking. I'm serious. So what if you hit him with my finish? That would maybe get some people like talking too, right? Like, oh, he just used Christian's finish, and it could be kind of a funny thing, for people to kind of grab onto. And then you kind of ran with it from there.
Yeah, and Vince loved it too. He was like, oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Probably because he also figured it would piss you off.
Yeah. Didn't you ask her something? Did I know about it? And you said no?
Yeah. Oh, God. I'll piss him off. It'll be great.
That's funny. Yeah, but it worked out.
It did. It did work out, and it got a great reaction, which was nice because it did kind of lay the groundwork for you coming back and to the possible storyline that we would eventually have that didn't end up happening.
Yeah, but then I think from that, it wasn't long after that I came to the Elimination Chamber. And,
yes.
I ran in after that, and I jumped on Alberto because he was the one that put me out with my torn pec. And so I think maybe from that, you using my finish and getting the response and the announcers, maybe kind of touching on it, kind of even sparked, hey, maybe we should kind of move forward with this a little bit. So.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes you can make things happen. The last thing, Lane Johnson had a question, and it was an email sent to us. So, hello, Edge and Christian. My name is Lane. I have started to wrestle these past couple months, and I have a problem. I have bought tights for shows. They're kind of small, but they feel okay. The problem I had the other day while trying them out, is that I had a wardrobe malfunction. My ball popped out. In brackets, is there a way to prevent this from happening again? Since I don't want this to happen during a show, you have any tips on keeping my tip in?
Wear long
I didn't
tights.
see that part. Long tights, under trunks, possibly. Yeah. Don't do what I do and wear a thong. Because I used to do that because it was way more comfortable than anything else. And then I'll look back on a match and see like a blue thong hanging out of my tights and just makes me cringe when I think about,
I think some...
but they were cozy, man.
Yeah.
My boys were cozy.
I think with the short trunks, a lot of times guys put on a smaller pair of short trunks underneath and then they put the other ones on. So I think that's kind of...
That's eventually what I went to is I'd throw a couple a Speedo underneath. But I wore long tights. Or maybe they're too small, man.
Right. And then you don't have to go around and explain to everybody in the audience that it was cold in the building. You had water thrown on you before you went out. Any of that stuff. So you're saving yourself a lot of embarrassment.
I'm not smuggling Ewoks in my trunks, anything like that. It's just,
Right.
So that would be the tip.
Yeah.
For your tip. Young Wayne. So we've talked enough about ourselves. We talked about SummerSlam, and you mentioned... one of your favorite recent SummerSlam or all-time SummerSlam matches was John Cena versus our guest today.
Yep. Yes.
Yes. When Squire Daniel Bryan or Bryan I still feel weird calling him Danny. I'm bad like that.
He's a new dad too, so we'll talk about a lot about that as well.
Yep.
And see how things are going with him. He's the GM of SmackDown, and of course one of the most popular wrestlers in recent years. So let's get to it.
And organically, so we'll talk all about that. Yeah. It's and hey,
organic
Bird,
or
your
orgasmic?
Get. Organic, but it could be
no, I think organic.
Organic or orgasm, I guess.
I think he was vegan at the time too, so I think organic goes well with that.
See what I did there? But also, Bird, I'm gonna throw it out there. Your Get.
Right. I've been getting
your Get
lately. I've been getting
your Get. You know what? You have. I backed off the gas pedal a little bit.
No,
I thought, you know what? I got to give the Bird a chance to catch up here. I got to give him a chance to catch up. We got to make this a race. You know, we got to make sure that that is close. No, can't just bury in the you know.
I think you burned out your Gets too early. I think you're done.
So your Get is getting close too, by the way. But anyway, I digress. Let's go talk to Bryan. Birdman. When I shave, I like to feel my own face. I like to feel how smooth it is. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing like a smooth face. And you know what gives me the smoothest face I've ever had?
What?
Harry's. Harry's.
That's crazy. Because I thought you were kind of a hairy mess right now, but I know that you do shave your neck area, maybe high underneath your eyes, because you become one of those little wolf boys where your face is just completely full of hair. And maybe you're another wolf boy. Maybe you're in other regions. Maybe you do a little manscaping.
That's too much
information.
information.
But Harry's is so confident you're going to love their blades, they'll give you their trial shave set for free. When you sign up at harrys.com/awesomeness, you just pay for the shipping.
See, Harry's is all about a great shave at a fair price, which is why over 3 million guys have switched to Harry's.
Right. Jeff and Andy, two ordinary guys who are fed up with buying overpriced razors, started Harry's to fix shaving. And let's be honest, shaving needed a fix.
They bought their own German factory with over 100 years of blade-making experience to ensure the highest quality. All products are backed by 100% quality guarantee. Harry's offers their blades at half the price of the leading 5-blade razor selling directly to you over the internet.
Claim your free trial offer from Harry's today. That's a $13 value for free when you sign up. Just cover shipping. Your free trial set includes a weighted ergonomic razor handle. Hey, I got ergonomic, right? I said it right? I got it right. Yeah, extra points. 5 precision... Oh, man, I screwed up precision. 5 precision engineered blades with a lubricating strip and trimmer blade. I like lubricating. I like the sound of that. Rich lathering shave gel and a travel blade cover.
I like me some lathering, too. To get your free trial set, go to harrys.com/awesomeness right now. That's harrys.com/awesomeness. I think I might go lather now.
I'm already lathered.
What are you reading right now?
Oh my gosh, so many things. So I made a goal this year to read 52 books in the year. I got that idea from Bill Gates, who tries to read a book every week.
Yes.
And once you set that as a goal, I really started replacing things with reading, right? So I'm very rarely ever on my phone. That sort of thing. Like if I have a spare moment, I've really got, okay, I've got this goal, I have to finish it. Well, then I tend to take things overboard. So now I'm well above my 52. I'm not above 52 books yet, but I should easily surpass 52 books this year. In the last week, I finished reading The Nature Fix, which is talking about how being outside, a lot of us have nature deficiency disorder, some sort of thing.
Yeah.
Being outside, just enhances your health, and how we don't spend enough time outside. And even the time that we do spend outside, it's mostly in cities where there's not a lot of real nature, and all the science behind hey, the smell of trees and all that kind of stuff is really good for you health-wise. And they're starting to be able to do these tests that show the cognitive and health benefits of being outside and all that kind of stuff. And then I also finished up a book called Headstrong by the guy who does the Bulletproof Coffee. His name is
Yes.
Dave
Yeah.
Asprey.
I was just referred that book the other day.
Yeah, it's interesting because like this is a guy, I'm also reading this book called Homo Deus, which is the future of humanity, and it's interesting when you're reading books that converge on different ideas.
Yep.
And the guy in Homo Deus is talking about, okay, what are people trying to do? What is the future of humanity? And Homo Deus means essentially, as opposed to Homo sapiens, Homo Deus would be like godlike humans, and that's what like the real people pushing technology and health stuff, that's what they're after. This guy, Dave Asprey, his stated goal is he wants to live to be 180 years old. And he doesn't want to be like 180, like a feeble 180. He's talking about wanting to be like, when he's 150 years old, he's still regularly having sex, right? Like, not just like, I'm 150 years old, but I can...
There, he wants to be thriving.
He wants to be the CEO of a business. He wants to be on top of things. He wants to, he wants to still be doing the things that he loves and enjoys and all that kind of stuff with a certain amount of energy and all that kind, that kind of thing. So I read the book. It's really fascinating, but it's also like he pushes bulletproof products pretty heavy. So you need like you need to be able to suck down a strong bit of advertisement to get through the book. But there's a lot of really interesting things in there. So yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm into right now.
I'm going to be reading that, but it's interesting because I did the same challenge. We've been talking about it on the show that I am going for the 52-week challenge too. And I'm on book 30. I'm on 34, but the same thing where the things that I used to do that I would, fill the time with, I put my nose in the book and I'm like, okay, I got to get going here. I'm falling behind, I'm a week behind or whatever it is. So I've been doing the same thing in that it's taking me away from my nose in the phone or things that really aren't that important. And I'm reading and broadening my horizons. And it's interesting because going back to what you're saying about being outside, completely agree. And that's why I mountain bike all the time, because you get out there and you get out in the woods, you get out without your nose in a phone, walking around like an automaton, like a zombie, and you just feel better. You just start to feel better. And not many people do it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it was interesting because it was a couple weeks ago we did SmackDown in Cleveland, and I I had texted a couple of the guys, and I was like, hey, let's go do some real man stuff, right? Like, who wants to go on a hike to the Cuyahoga National Forest with me? And you know how guys are the day of TV, right?
Yeah.
It's like, man, and because I just flew into Cleveland, right?
They'd be like, I just sprayed on some self-tanner.
What's that?
They'd be like, I just sprayed on some self-tanner. It's not dry yet.
Yeah. They just drove in from gosh knows where, right? Pittsburgh or something, and they're like, I'm tired or whatever. But I got Sami Zayn, Bryan Kendrick, and M-Dog, Matt Cross. He's an independent wrestler. And we all went and we hiked around for 2 hours and breathed in the fresh air. And it was great, man. Like getting together with just some men and just going and doing some man stuff, and it really made my day a whole lot better.
It makes such a huge difference. Before I retired, I could feel the end was coming. I didn't know exactly when, but I knew it was at least in the ballpark. I was on the avenue of retirement anyway. And I started to make a point of going on a hike. If I'm driving through Portland, I'm pulling off and I'm getting out somewhere and I'm going to go hiking and enjoy some of these places that I don't know when I'm going to get back to, rather than just go see the inside of a gym again. And it made such a huge difference in my happiness in being on the road. Like suddenly I was rejuvenated and felt like this is an amazing job. This job gives you the opportunity, if you put the work in, to go do these things and see these things and experience these things that not a lot of people can do.
Yeah, and like you're saying, sometimes it's taken for granted too, right? Because you are tired, you're fatigued, you're in the grind, and then you always think, I'll be back here. I'll do it next time I come or whatever. And you never know, that chance might not come, So it is, I think there are a lot of things now that I look back on personally, like, man, I wish I had taken advantage of it a little bit more when I was there. And didn't. So I think that's definitely a thing that guys and girls should check that out.
Well, it's also hard too, though. I think we have to give everybody a little bit of credit because, like, when especially TV days, you have to be the building at 2, and like you might not get into your hotel room until 3 a.m. the night before, and so for some of the guys, I mean, you're going to have a busy day, right? So you're going. Like, okay, if I'm having a busy day and I want to perform optimally, what's more important? Getting a good night's sleep and getting a decent pump so I look good in my spandex tights on television, or going on a hike with Bryan, right, where we're just going to BS for a little bit.
I get the whole
Your legs might look full at least.
What's that?
Your legs might look full at least.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe we can do some jumping jacks barefooted on the trail, and that'll really soak up the energy of the earth. Yeah.
Maybe some trail burpees.
Some trail burpees, yeah.
Get some of those deep lunges in too. We had some running gag for some reason, and I don't know how it even started, you and I, with like deep lunges, and we just randomly did them in places like on a bus, or if we were wrestling each other in the ring or on the opposite side, you'd just be doing lunges on the apron.
On the apron?
Yeah, it was like a random. I don't even remember how it started, but it was just like every now and again one of us would throw out the, oh man, yeah, or one guy would turn around, the other one would be doing deep lunges, and it was like, oh hey man, what's up? And like just stuff like that, just randomly doing deep lunges, and I don't even know how it started.
And we're talking about deep lunges.
Yeah, deep.
Like it's like really like the angle on your hips is really thrusting when you're getting so deep into this lunge.
Yeah. It's it's very deep.
Good
very
times.
Deep, very deep.
Good times.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you can use that out on the trail sometime.
Yeah. Yeah, if you guys want that good leg pump, let's do some deep lunges together.
Yeah.
Take your shirt off, boys. Let's do some deep lunges.
And I would pay to see the other hikers' faces as you deep lunge, like Bob Backlund doing the Harvard step test by them up the mountain.
The best.
Oh, you should have seen people. So Brian Kendrick, when he went with us, and Brian's awesome. Brian's just like he's wild, right? He's just a wild human being. I love him. He has so you never have boring conversations with Brian ever, right? And so we're out on the trail, and there he is, pulls out a cigarette, lights up a smoke. Right, we're in a national park, and I would probably pay upwards of maybe $100 to just have him sit in the most active part of the natural park and have him smoke and do deep lunges.
Oh man,
while people walk by.
With his biker jacket on.
Yeah.
Yeah, with his biker jacket on, and his long flowing hair and the pirate flag, all that kind of stuff.
He actually turned me on to a book. Well, him and London turned me on to this book, Behold a Pale Horse. Have you read that?
I have not, no.
Whoa, man. You gotta, it's out there. But it might be worth a pick up. I can't even explain. It's conspiracy theories. It's so many different things. It's pretty nuts. It's pretty nuts.
So it's really interesting. I found so last year after I retired, they called me up and they said, Hunter called me and said, "Hey, we'd like you to be the commentator for the Cruiserweight Classic. Would you like to do that?" And I said, "Yeah, that would be awesome." And one of the things that I loved most about the Cruiserweight Classic was afterwards being able to be with Bryan and all these other guys who are kind of a lot of them are younger guys, and this is their first opportunity at this kind of spotlight, right?
Yeah.
This kind of big opportunity. So we all went out to eat, I think, after the first set of tapings, and and Bryan's just talking to guys about the conspiracy theories because he loves that stuff and he's deep in. And here's the thing with conspiracy theories, right? If you're into the conspiracy theory and you know in depth about a lot of like one of these ideas, and other people don't know, you know, for example, flat Earth, right? Like the whole flat Earth thing. Yeah. I've never researched the proof that the Earth is round, right? Like but these people research the reasons why the Earth is flat. Mm-hmm. So if you come in and you're talking to people who have never really thought about it before, and you present to them all these facts, like facts, I'm using quotation marks with my fingers that you guys can't even see.
Yeah.
But I felt it.
Facts,
I felt it.
and then you say, well, yeah, Google this online, and then they start doing it on their phones right then and there, and then they start thinking like, oh my gosh, some of this stuff is real, right? Like it's very easy to suck the unknown into the conspiracy theories, and this is one of the things I love about Bryan. I'm not convinced that he believes in the conspiracy theories. He just likes sucking other people into them.
He's working
he has
everybody.
A good time with it. Yeah.
Yeah. He's just like, wait a minute. If I can create this, I want to see if I can create this doubt. He's working everyone.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I didn't bite. I bought the book though. I did buy the book and I did read it.
Yeah.
So maybe he did get me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, he got me.
Yeah. It creates these interesting conversations where you question what's real and what's not real, right? As opposed to being like, hey, man, how's it going? Oh, good. How are you? Good. Okay. Oh, what'd you do today? I went to the gym, trained buys, you know?
Can you spray tan my back now?
Yeah, sometimes
Back
you
to the
get
spray
these
tan.
monotonous conversations when you're on the road that like aren't interesting or fun or exhilarating or anything like that. And you're with these, you know, the guys. You guys know the boys are awesome, right? And everybody has these unique little characteristics. But sometimes being on the road so much, you just get used to how awesome everybody is, and you stop being awesome together. You know?
Well, yeah.
And so
you take each other for granted.
The awesomeness.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think that's any relationship. Truly, in having kids, and I want to find out how fatherhood's going for you, because we're both recent fathers too, and just seeing how it changes everything. But also in terms of relationships and in maintaining the balance between you and your partner when the kids take up so much energy. And I think it's the same, at least similar with wrestling, because you're always so drained, because you're always so tired from the road and everything like that. You did start to take each other for granted almost. And it can be the same with the mother of your child after you have a kid, because you're just drained, and it's a work in progress. And I think an important thing to do to keep that intact.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's interesting because, so obviously because I'm a reader, I read a ton about parenting and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that I really gravitated towards is this idea that Bree is breastfeeding and all that kind of stuff. So she has a huge responsibility for the baby, right? So all this. So she takes care of most of that kind of stuff. So I need to do everything in my power to make life easier for her. That's my job, right?
Yep.
And so, we also consider ourselves very fortunate because, I don't have a regular 9-to-5 job. WWE was awesome because they gave me 8 weeks paternity leave. That just doesn't happen in the United States, where I was home with Bree and the baby for 8 weeks, so I could really help her out when she needed to sleep and all that kind of stuff. But it's interesting when you start putting, I really focused more so than ever on putting my partner first. And it's crazy the deeper connection that Bree and I feel now after we've had the baby. I'm sorry, I don't know if you guys can hear that. We have 2 French bulldogs who are fighting over a bone right now.
That's all right, because sometimes my cat just howls for no reason.
Jay's cat is a star on this show, so they're now co-stars too.
Yeah.
Well, I found with the breastfeeding thing, my key that I found is on every floor. I made a feeding station, so that Beth had a spot to go, sit, breastfeed, but right there was everything to hydrate her. There was, nuts if so I set up a little feeding station. She knew if it was breastfeeding time just to go there. That way she could, keep the fluids up, keep ingesting some calories and things like that to help with, the breastfeeding. And that was one thing I read. I forget which book I read it in. It might have been Dude, You're Going to Be a Dad. And because there is so much out of our control, the few things that we can do in order to support them, and breastfeeding is a huge deal. Like you don't understand the undertaking that is until it starts, and it's like, whoa, and there's not really anything you can do. Yeah, it's crazy. But I mean, that just goes to show you that, we didn't need to have multiple stations because our house in Phoenix was under 1,400 square feet. So you had one. So we have one in Birdie's room, and then we have like the couch where she also does it, and like there's water at both places, But it's really funny because people are just like, people are blown away when we talk, like when I start talking to my other dad friends about breastfeeding, right? Mm-hmm. Like before, I couldn't have cared less, right? Like,
no, you can't.
2 years ago, if somebody would have started a conversation with me about breastfeeding, I would have been like, oh, gosh, what a boring conversation this is going to be. No, it's fascinating. Yeah. And, like, the effects of breast milk on your baby's brain and their development and all that kind of stuff. Bria's doing this awesome stuff right now where she's trying to pump more milk than Birdie needs, because there's a lot of babies whose mothers either can't produce breast milk or they're not taking it, or if the moms have breast cancer or something like that, or the moms have to be on a drug so that the babies can't take the breast milk. And so Bree's partnered up with this, I forget what the name of it is. I think it's called Mother's Milk or something like that, where she tries to produce more. And then every time she can generate 100 ounces more, she sends it in and donates it. And like, Bree came back the first time that she met with these people and saw the effects that it had on mothers and their babies who can't drink breast milk. She was literally crying, like it's such an important, cool thing, So it's one of the things I'm really proud of her for doing. Well, and it's so emotionally hard on women if they do struggle, and you see and you hear that. So I find myself in these discussions with women about breastfeeding, and what I found was interesting too, and this is probably way too much information, but if like Beth would pump ahead, and I would have the opportunity to feed the baby, because there's so few instances as a dad in the beginning where you can connect on that level with the baby, and then that way Beth could sleep too. So when she could pump ahead, I'd say, okay, I got overnights because we got 2 bottles or things like that. So that was and it was so cool because you really do see everything just going on there behind the eyes.
Yeah, we did that
with
too.
That process.
My thing was I'm like, always paranoid. That first of all, that I heated it up too much, and then I burn her throat or whatever. So I was always like,
test on the arm.
I would like over test it. I'd be like looking at it and like feel them out and like, oh man, is this really all right? I was one of those, like, even when, for the first little while when she was sleeping in our room, if, I would wake up and I'd be like, I don't think she's breathing. And I'd be over there and I'd be the one with my head down, like listening for her to breathe. Like I was that paranoid guy for a while. So yeah. So I come up with many evil plots. That's part of my thing, is that I like coming up with evil plots. But the idea behind the evil plots is they can't initially sound evil to people, right? Like you have to push them as being good for everybody. And one of my evil plots is because breast milk is about the healthiest thing that you can possibly put in your mouth, right? And it's not just for infants, it's for regular humans, right? Us drinking breast milk is so healthy for us. Good for our brains, good for our bodies, all that kind of stuff. So my idea, the problem is like most people, your wife isn't producing
milk most of your relationship. So how are you going to get this breast milk that your body so desperately needs? And my idea is that I'm going to farm women for their breast milk and then sell it to people, sell it to the uber wealthy, who, like Dave Asprey, who's trying to live to be 180 years old, sell it to the uber wealthy.
Sell it to the one percenters.
Tagline that it's going to enrich your life, or you're going to live longer, you're going to be healthier, you're going to be stronger, all this kind of stuff. And like a lot of the supplements in the United States, you don't need to prove that it actually works. You just need to get the idea in people's heads that it's going to work.
Get it on Dr. Oz.
That's my plan. I'm gonna start farming
you know what you do?
For breast milk.
But get Brian Kendrick on the case. He'll convince everyone.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah, well, but I mean, it's all in how you frame it, right? When you say it like that, I need to establish first. If I were really pitching this to somebody, I wouldn't pitch it that way, because that they can see my evil intentions right up front.
Well, you gave yourself away.
If something like this, if you go like, okay, we're going to go to third world countries and women who are having a problem breastfeeding and or their babies are malnourished or that sort of thing, we are going to provide their babies with formula, and we are also going to provide the women with food, with healthy food, in exchange for them giving us their now healthier breast milk, and we are also going to pay them much more than they would be making regularly. So their family would actually be healthier, because now their infants are getting food and formula. They're getting food, healthy, organic food, because we want to produce the best breast milk. But then all of a sudden, the more that you think about it, we're like hooking them up to machines like cows. And
without a doubt, you have thought this out. Like you've put thought into this bad boy.
I feel like you're further along than you're. I think it's like you said, it's an evil plot. I feel like you're further along in this than you're even letting on.
I feel like this might already be happening.
Much further along. And you know who's the main backer behind this is Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods, he's a really, really smart dude. Yeah. And so I was broaching this topic with the locker room as a joke. Yeah. And then everybody was like, Luke Harper was just aghast at the idea of it. But then Xavier Woods comes in and he brings the logic behind it. He brings the logic in, and he's like, well, yeah, but I mean, if it's this and if it's that and if the babies are better off and if the people are like, it's a real sell job, and he's great at it, I think he's got his doctorate in psychology, so he knows how to persuade people,
That's funny.
See, you get him, you get Kendrick on board, and I think you got something. Man.
Yeah, and like especially Bryan, he'll start spreading the stuff about like the stuff about the government's trying to do these kind of things to you, and the only way to stop it is by drinking breast milk.
He could be like the Colonel Sanders of the breast milk.
Yeah, he'd be perfect.
Especially those newer commercials.
I'd love to see him with that mustache too.
Be great.
Yeah.
So far we haven't talked about wrestling at all. How great is that?
The whole thing without talking about wrestling, honestly.
Mind you, I don't know what the listeners are probably thinking at this point, but we've talked about deep lunges, hiking, reading, breast milk conspiracies.
Do you guys notice that like during the whole reading thing, I went for a jog, I came back.
Nothing. You said nothing. Nothing.
Yeah,
I could hear the chirping on your end. Yeah.
So let me tell you about my challenge. Brian, it's a little something like this. I'm going to try to read one book this year.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
that's true.
I am about 3 chapters into my first book, and I haven't touched it in like 2 weeks.
What book is it?
It's actually a biography on Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, that's why you're not touching it.
I like Bruce Springsteen. I like The Boss.
Yeah, how can you I can't even fathom how a Canadian could be so into The Boss. Like
it should be Bryan Adams.
USA.
Yeah.
Born in the USA.
Yeah.
That is like the antithesis of what you are. Like, I'm not born in the USA. Like,
although I did read Michael Bublé's book a while ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
No. Here, how about this?
So you read Michael?
I'm gonna read a book that you recommend to me, and I'm gonna report back to you on it.
Read *Sapiens* by Yuval Noah Harari. It's the history of Homo sapiens. It's fascinating.
Sapiens. I think I spelt that right.
Oh, jeez. Jesus.
Yeah. So okay, that's my goal. I'm going to read that book. I'm going to report. I'm going to have you back on the podcast, and I'm going to report to you in detail.
Yeah. See, and so this is the kind of thing. It's interesting. One of the other things that I've tried to do, it has not been so successful yet, but is to. My whole thing with being at TV when I'm at WWE is I want interesting conversation. So I was talking with Luke Harper and Sami Zayn and a couple of the other guys. I was like, hey, let's start a book club, right? It's got to be like the first ever wrestling book club.
Yeah.
And the first week, everybody was super excited about it. And then people really didn't get on board as far as like what book we were going to start with. But yeah, we've got a couple. We started with *Sapiens* actually because I thought that would be a good. It's really good as far as fascinating talking points and things that you can like agree with or disagree with and fight over and all that kind of stuff. And so yeah, Luke Harper's actually already read it. He read it all the way through. And
that's a challenge.
And Connor from the Ascension. He's down.
Yeah.
Sami Zayn said he was down at first, but then he was like, I thought we were doing a different book. I thought we were doing What the Hell. And no, so.
Well, and Adam just texted me the correct spelling of *Sapiens*. Like I actually did know how to spell it, but I was kidding. But he actually sent it to me because he thought I very possibly.
It was also a reminder that I now have a trail that I can read that after because I might not remember after. See what I did there? Here's one for you. Have you read *Ego is the Enemy*, Ryan Holiday?
No, I have not.
It's good. It's good. It's a good one.
What's it about?
That was in just how you get in your own way. So many of us just get in our own way. And it's just some really good reminders. A lot of the things you know already, but just getting out of your own way. And a lot of reminders, a lot of things that you've probably thought of, hopefully. And I found it really fascinating. He's a good writer. He's written a few books. I think Obstacle is what was the other one? Oh, man, it's like Obstacle is the Way. Obstacle is the Way, and Ego is the Enemy. They're both good, both worth a pickup, and they're short reads. They're like 200 pages.
Yeah. Yeah, see, so that's what I started with. I started on this challenge with like, okay, if I'm really going to do this, I got to start with some short ones first, so I can get ahead of the game. And then,
I do the same thing. I'm like, yeah, this one's 200 pages. Okay, that'll get my quote up.
Yeah. And then it's funny because with Birdie coming, I really, I've read about all the good things. It's good to like read to them even when they're infants and they don't understand what's going on. So she's already been read to like The Alchemist and like
she's read more books.
The Alchemist is another one of those books that's like it's a short book, it's good, it's easy to read, that sort of thing. I've read it multiple times, but she's listened to that. So I'm hoping that she's going to be the member of the Danielson family that really goes out there and changes the world,
It's so important, man. From day one, the night we brought Lyric home, we have read to her every night.
Yeah.
And if I'm over somewhere filming, I will record myself reading a book onto Dropbox and send the video because of the time difference so that Beth can play it for Lyric and Ruby at night, so they still get me reading them that book at nighttime every night, and we have never missed a night. And it is I love the fact that my kids say to me, will you read us a book tonight? You have to read us a book, right? Like, they want a book read to them, and that to me is one of the most important things we've done so far.
You know what else is funny too?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because we read to our daughter every single night as well, and the funny thing is too, she's sitting there, and even if she's not sitting on your lap, if she's like doing something else, but she wants you to read to her, so she's kind of busy like doing something, but she wants to be read to. And then if you're like, oh man, I'm kind of tired, I'm just going to skip over a couple of lines here. She knows it. She'll come over and she'll flip the page back and she'll like tell you the lines you missed, which is hilarious that she knows the book. And but there's been times too where we don't know where we haven't seen her for a few minutes, and we'll go and peek in her room, and she's sitting on her chair, and she'll have 3 or 4 books on her lap, and she's just reading the books, and she's just going off of memory of having them read to her, but she knows like what words go with the picture, even if she can't really read the words, she knows from the picture what it is that she's seeing, and it's really kind of cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so cool. So, now that we've talked about all this different stuff, should we talk about some wrestling?
I guess we should.
3 guys who are wrestlers?
Yeah.
I guess we should, because people are probably like, unless they're a dad, they're probably like, oh,
right,
man, what are these guys talking
all the
about?
non-dads, all the teenage dudes who are like,
hating us.
I love the Edge and Christian podcast. Like, this is the worst podcast ever.
Yeah, I guess we should get to some wrestling.
Okay, all right. So I gotta get some queries to throw at you. So I just saw a match that some guys sent to me from Australia, because Australia is really trying to get word out on what's going on there, and the guys that are there and the girls that are there, and everyone they're trying to create a buzz. And apparently Will Ospreay is talking about moving down there and getting citizenship there, and so they sent me a match that was on the show, and so what's your take on guys coming in now, or guys that are making waves, or guys that people are talking about? Who are you looking at? Because I know you got your ear to the ground on that stuff.
Yeah, so I'm interested in just the ways that wrestling is evolving and what fans are buying in different parts of the world. So, like, for example, Corey Graves' brother. I don't think I've ever met him, but I hate him. Can I just tell you that I hate Corey Graves' brother? His wrestling name is Sam Adonis.
Yeah.
He just main evented Arena Mexico against Blue Panther. So you have to understand, Blue Panther is like my favorite luchador, right? He main evented Arena Mexico in a hair versus hair match against Blue Panther, and he took Blue Panther's hair.
Man.
Right?
Whoa.
Whoa. Like, that's what I want. I wanted to take Blue Panther's hair, right?
It could have been beard versus hair.
He comes to the ring with this giant American flag, and in the center of it is a big Trump face, right? So, getting all this, getting tons of heat. And I'm just like, you see that kind of thing, and you think, like, man, that's awesome. And then, the G1 Climax just happened, the tournament for New Japan, right? And I wrestled Zack Sabre Jr., I don't know what year it was. It must have been like 2007 or something like that, when he was really, really young. And so I started watching some of the G1 stuff, and the Kenny Omega stuff is just awesome, and he's just kicking ass, and and a lot of the guys over there are kicking ass. And then I was watching Zack Sabre, and he is just like, I kind of cultivated this style on the independents where I would do a lot of mat wrestling, but I would try to turn it really vicious, right? Like a vicious style of mat wrestling that I'm not sure I ever was able to really bring to WWE, because I was afraid it would be too slow for the casual TV audience. Yep. And I'm watching Zach doing this stuff, and I'm like, damn it, he's doing it better than I ever did it. I was like, he would do stuff, and I was like, why did I not think of that? Like, that's freaking genius, And so, yeah, like that sort of thing. You hear about like the Ricochet Will Ospreay matches, and then you watch it, and they're just so unbelievably. They're doing such things that I would have never thought to even conceive,
right.
And it's crazy because. So another book I was reading by Thomas Friedman, I forget what the name of the book was, but he was talking about how technology is changing everything. Every single job out there, technology is changing, right? It doesn't matter if you're the plumber at a school, right? As opposed to where what used to happen if you're a plumber at the school is you wait for something to break and then you fix it, right? But now with the newer buildings, what they're doing is they've got sensors on all these plumbing lines. So you know when something's about to go wrong rather than waiting until it goes wrong and you can see the effects of something going wrong. So now you're more than just a plumber. You're doing stuff with technology. You're on your tablet. You're doing this and that. And it's fascinating to me the way that technology has changed wrestling, even just in the sense of like, okay, WWE is now on the network as opposed to doing pay-per-views. Right. Well, that also applies to, okay, when I first started watching Japanese wrestling, and I'm sure, I don't know if you guys ever really got into that or if that, but it used to be getting tapes.
Yep, we did the same thing.
It was a big deal.
Really freaking
it was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard, yeah.
And when people did get them, you kind of had to tape swap with people too that were in your area, so you could get different ones because they were hard to come by.
Yeah, they were hard to come by, and then because for me, I lived in a small rural area of Washington State. There were no tape traders there. You know what I mean? So I just had to find people like this RF video catalog, right? That would have like these matches, and I didn't know what matches were good and what matches weren't good, right? So I just had to guess, and they were $20 a tape, or if you bought like 2 for $35. When you're making like $4.75 an hour, spending $20 on a tape is a lot of money. So you watch every single match, like the opening match to just the worst matches possible. Well, now with the internet and technology, you can literally watch the best matches around the world, like with New Japan. You can watch the Lucha stuff. You can watch all the stuff that's going on, and there's tons of cool stuff going on in Europe and England right now. And I think maybe that's what Will Ospreay is talking about as far as bringing that to Australia.
Yeah, to Australia.
Because now all of a sudden, instead of being, okay, my marketplace for this independent wrestling show is the city that I live in, now the marketplace is worldwide. And if you can attract attention to a certain style, if you're doing something different, if you're doing something cool, like all of a sudden you're going to attract wrestling fans from all over the world. And I think that's really, really neat.
Well, I think too, even taking it a step further on the technology changing the wrestling business is the fact that, like, we're talking about getting tapes from Japan and stuff like that, but when we were trying to, you breaking in and trying to get in front of a promoter's face or on their radar, same thing. You're sending them tapes. You're asking somebody, hey, this guy, could you pass this tape on to him? You're sending him a tape, an 8x10, whatever it is, where now, you can tweet out or put on Facebook or on YouTube, whatever it is, matches or highlights or whatever it is that you want, and you can actually gain somewhat of a following, get some buzz about you.
You can create buzz now.
You can create buzz. You can yourself become, like, you see it now. People are just legit, like, YouTube sensations and stars, like, not just with wrestling, but in every walk of entertainment and in life. So it's very much so changed the business. I mean, you even look at the watch the shows, and you have the tweet ticker on the bottom of the shows. People are watching and talking about the shows as they're happening, and they're putting them up on oh man, maybe my tweet will make the show or something like that. It's crazy.
Some of the people who I found to be really like on top of it and really smart and really like they've really used the technology to their best advantages, the Young Bucks.
Right.
Like they've got this YouTube show that gets thousands upon thousands of people watching every week that they put it out. And not only that, their stuff is in Hot Topic now.
That's crazy.
I don't know how it got in, but somebody was telling me something. It was something like this. Like, the Hot Topic people were at WrestleMania week, right? Mm-hmm. And they went to WWE and said, hey, we'd like to order some of those Bullet Club shirts, right? And they're like, that's not our stuff. Oh, what do you mean it's not your stuff? I've seen these Bullet Club shirts all over this weekend. They're really cool. We want them. That's not us. Oh, so who is that? It's these guys. And now, like, Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, and I don't know if Marty Scurll's shirts are in Hot Topic yet, but I mean, like, that's awesome. Like, they're in a national chain in every single store. Like, the ability to go out and get yourself over. Yeah, and they're selling, and they're doing great. I mean, it's literally, it's incredible,
And think about that.
I feel like right now, is the best time maybe in history to be an independent wrestler.
Sure.
And also the best time in the world to be a fan, because there's so much awesome product out.
Well, those guys are basically the most skin they have in the game is in Japan. So they're starring in Japan and selling T-shirts in the U.S. If that doesn't speak to how many barriers have been broken down due to technology, I don't know what does. I want to rewind back to something you said there, because you said you didn't know if that style that you were trying to cultivate would translate to a WWE audience. So even though that everything is kind of cross-pollinated and you can see all of these things and people can be stars without going to the WWE, do you feel like some of these styles would translate to WWE? Like, okay, as a for instance, we used it, Ospreay and Ricochet. I mean, it's such a spectacle, but do you think that would translate to that mass audience?
So this is what I think. I think at first it can, but I also think that WWE is very character driven. So right now, I was talking about this with John Cena. So when I first came into WWE in 2010, right? So there were some people occasionally doing some things that were like the suicide dives and the, all that kind of stuff, right? But it was a very different style than what you see now. Like now they've brought in a lot of independent wrestlers and stuff like that. But I was able to stand out like, okay, this guy does things a little bit differently because he does things like this. And that helped me get over because I was different, right? But you can't, if you come in and do that now. So for example, like one of the things that I think they have a hard time with 205 Live and the cruiserweights is that they do some incredible stuff. But you know who's also doing incredible stuff? AJ Styles, doing springboard 450 splashes, right? And so to somebody who really knows, okay, degree of difficulty, they may see like Mustafa Ali does this incredible, I don't even know what you call it, like an inverted 450 splash or something. I don't know. It's incredible. But to the casual fan, is that any more impressive than AJ Styles doing a springboard 450 splash? And he's a main event guy who gets promo time and all this kind of stuff, Same thing with like a Seth Rollins. So if Seth Rollins, you often see Seth Rollins having 2-segment matches on regular TV without paying for it. And he'll do the spot where he'll do 3 suicide dives in a row, right? Which is really neat. But you've seen X number of suicide dives throughout the show already, and by the time you see that, so if you're coming in hoping to stand out on your style alone, and your style alone is acrobatics, I think that's going to be very hard to stand out if that's just your thing. One of the things that I'm really impressed with both as I watch Ospreay develop and like Ricochet is that they've become also more personality driven, like more, one of the things that I've really loved about one of the things that's developed with the Young Bucks is, as I watch them develop, is they take part of the things that everybody criticized them about, like, okay, it's too many spots or it's too many this, and they've made that their character. Like they do a million super kicks. Yeah. Because that's part of the character now. Right. And it's more character driven than anybody ever gave them credit for. And Ricochet is now more character driven than anybody's ever given him credit for. And you can see that in Will Ospreay. He's more character driven than anybody's ever given him credit for, and he keeps developing that, And I think that's kind of where the genesis, where those guys will get over. It's not a guy with no personality coming in and doing a ton of awesome spots. It's these guys are doing awesome spots, but it's also personality driven. It's story driven, as opposed to just being like, "Hey, look at the cool flips I can do." You know?
I think you're 100% right. And we had a conversation with the Young Bucks a while ago, and they were talking about they were pretty much wrestling that style and doing those things when they were in TNA and stuff like that, and we were having a hard time getting scraping money together to buy a chicken sandwich. I think they were telling us, and but yeah, it wasn't until they didn't change their style, but they started to own everything that people said they were. They didn't change, but they owned what people were saying about them and all the negative things. And they like you said, they built characters on it. And they've been more over because of the characters and the style they wrestle. Like you said, the style has almost become like exactly what you said, part of the character. And I think that was probably it was ingenious to do that.
Yeah.
Well,
so one of the things that I find a disconnect sometimes, and I also feel like it's weird to completely like we're talking mostly about independent wrestlers as opposed to like the amazing talent in WWE. But one of the things that I have been really interested in when you go back, like you can't go backwards, right? Mm-hmm. So like, but I am always interested in watching like older stuff, you know. I've become fascinated with guys like Jerry Lawler and Nick Bockwinkel and stuff like that, and just watching how they're able to do, you know, because I'm contemplating, like, I'm trying to get back to wrestling. I don't think that that's a real secret, you know, like, and so, but I also, if I want to come back to wrestling, I want to wrestle a much safer style, right? I want to be able to, one of the things that I always, like, loved about, like, Jerry Lawler and Terry Funk is that, like, okay, Jerry Lawler had a heart attack, right? And then, like, I forget if it was last year or the year before, he wrestled Terry Funk and threw a fireball in his face, right? Like, that's awesome. Like, I don't know how old Jerry is, maybe 60-something, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And he's out there, he's still wrestling. He doesn't need to wrestle. He's not wrestling because I want to be a big star or because I need to make this money or because of this or because of that. He does it because he goes out there and he loves it. And the same thing with like Terry Funk. And they're these two old guys who don't have anything to prove to anybody. They both had these legendary careers. And what do? They go out there and they're going to do something completely different from anybody else on the show. And he's going to throw a fireball in Terry Funk's face. And I'm just like, that's freaking awesome, you know? Like, and so, but, you know, going back and watching like the Jerry Lawler stuff and the Nick Bockwinkel stuff and just seeing how I've been watching like a lot of Tenryu stuff, like their styles are part of their personality, right? Tenryu wrestles the way he wrestles because he's Tenryu, not because he's trying to pop the crowd or because he's doing this. He wrestles that way because that's who he is as a person. Like he hits people like this because that's who he is as a person, because he's a sumo guy and because he's not going to stand up to your crap and like all that kind of stuff, you know? And I think that's what's really cool about seeing these, the independent level guys coming up is that they're doing that same thing. A lot of times more so than WWE people who their styles have nothing to do with who they are as characters or who they are as humans, you know, like that's, and that's one of the disconnects that I find.
Well, I think and we haven't even talked about a guy like Rey Mysterio. You know, I think Mysterio was the first guy to crack the code in a way that for his size, you know, coming from Mexico, then to ECW, then doing the cruiserweight thing. When he came to WWE, if you watched, his style changed. He was smart enough to know he had to adapt and adjust to the WWE style. And part of that was getting across the character while wearing a mask. But he still did it. And I really, you know, he still did amazing stuff. But he uglied it up. He muddied it up and really changed his style. And I'm gonna you know, blow air your way. You did the same thing. AJ Styles is doing the same thing.
I was just going to say AJ is the most recent guy to do that, right? And if you're good enough and you understand what you need to do enough, and you have to know your audience. That's the main thing. Sometimes people don't know their audience, and if you're in tune with that, you can make small adjustments, not lose the essence of who you are as a performer or as a character where you want to be as a character. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, but it's also, you know, it's fascinating. It was like when you talk about the evolution of Rey Mysterio, it's so neat to go back because it's really cool. I include all three of us in this. We're a generation of wrestlers who you can go back and kind of watch the very beginnings of, right? You can go back and see like your guys' very early matches, right? Like independent stuff, I'm sure. And like my generation of people just past that, so I debuted in 99. You can literally go online and find matches that I had where I was like 2 months into wrestling, right?
Yeah.
And with Rey Mysterio, you can go because he was on like high-level shows in Lucha when he was, gosh, how old? I know at least
17, 18,
like
right?
maybe 94 or 93. You can find stuff of Rey Mysterio, and like you can see the evolution of Rey. And if you look at it from a perspective of like this is his body of work, and his body of work is not over yet. It's evolved over time, right? To be like, okay, these are the opponents. This is what I have to do to get over in this location. This is what I have to do to get over in this location. This is what I have to do to get over here. But I'm also getting smarter, and I'm realizing that now I'm more over, and I have to do less, and I can do less, and I can try different things. And it really is like, yes, he's a great wrestler, but you also look at him and be like, man, he's really smart, right?
Yeah,
I didn't get a lot of time to interact with Rey. Rey's like, when I look at guys who really inspired me to wrestle, I remember watching Great American Bash from 1996, and it was his debut in WCW where he wrestled Dean Malenko. And Dean Malenko was my favorite. Like, I loved the mat wrestling stuff. And he came in, and he was just so awesome and so different, and that was the match that literally changed my mind from being like, okay, I'd like to be a pro wrestler, but I don't know if I can do it or whatever, to being like, hey, this guy's 5'3" and this other guy is 5'7", right? There's no reason why I can't at least try this, you know? And so to watch like somebody is like, because I didn't get to know him, I didn't get to really talk to him as much and see how he thought about wrestling, but you can watch the evolution of Rey and just see how smart he is as a performer, you know? And it's really kind of inspiring.
And I hope it still is, you know, to young guys. I think he's a good guy to, you know, whether you watch his stuff with Psychosis and then watch his stuff with Kane. There's no way on paper, you know, you hear those two different things. It's like, oh, okay, well, how can that work? Like, how can you work both of those guys, still have the essence of what you bring as a performer, and also have character with a mask on? It's really, I can't say enough about Rey. But by the same token, like I said, you, AJ, guys like that have shown that you can still have your style. But I think you were all smart enough, obviously, or you wouldn't have been world champion and won the main event at WrestleMania. And AJ, you know, wouldn't be doing what he's doing now if you didn't adapt to that WWE, I don't want to say system, but at least adapt to know the audience, to know that audience is going to be looking for something a little bit different.
Yeah. And now I think it's going to be interesting to see what people come up with to stand out in WWE, because it's so hard now to stand out with just your wrestling, right? You can't stand out with just your wrestling anymore. So, like, one of the people who really stands out to me as far as
the next question.
Character presentation, one of the people who really stands out to me as far as character presentation is Aiden English on SmackDown. He goes out there and he sings, and like a lot of the stuff that you would think of as like, that's kind of like 80s something, right? Like the Bolsheviks would go out there and sing the Russian national anthem, and everybody would hate it, right? It's like, it's more like Aiden English goes out there and he starts singing, and everybody hates it, and everybody hates him, and it's like, man, he's standing out not by his ring work, although he's very good in the ring. He's more standing out through just his character stuff, because everybody else has been so focused on standing out through doing cool stuff.
I would love for his character to just do everything singing, like you know how in musicals people live like their real life is they just sing, like if he just sang everything, like his promos,
all of the pre-tapes, like everything.
Everything was done like a musical. To me, that would get a ton of heat, I think.
Oh yeah, it'd be so good. It'd be so good. So.
Well, and a guy like Cesaro, like I think since he's been teaming with Sheamus, he's been able to show more and more of his character. And I think coming out of this team, he's going to be in a better place than he was before, which can be rare. Because usually, or a lot of times, people can perceive being in a tag team as a step down or a step back. But I don't think that's going to be the case with him. I think he's starting to find some kind of groove in terms of character. And because obviously, super talented in the ring. But who else is there? You know, Aiden English you mentioned. Who else right now is really, kind of caught your eye?
It's so hard because for example, I think one of the really cool things is I honestly don't watch much Raw. And it's not because I'm the SmackDown GM and I hate Raw, but a lot of times I'm traveling on Mondays, right? And so by the time I get to my hotel, Raw's almost over, so I don't get to see a lot of it. So I'm predominantly focused on like the SmackDown guys and kind of what they do. But for example, the Usos, right? Like they've really gotten this promo style down that's completely different than what everybody else is doing, right? I think that's one of the things that helped the New Day stand out. But like as far as guys who I just think are like this guy is awesome, I really like Chad Gable. So like he went out there and he's like somebody who can do like incredible stuff. And it was I think 2 weeks ago he had this match with Rusev, and it was some of the best wrestling stuff that I've seen, because he's telling a story with it. The whole first part of the match, it's him trying to hit a single leg on Rusev, who's much larger than he is, but he's an Olympic level wrestler, right? Yeah. And so it's all about trying to go for this single leg, and Rusev getting out of it, and Rusev getting out of it, and Rusev getting out of it. And people aren't trained to think of single legs as being devastating or anything like that, but the announcers told a great story with it. They picked up on it and they were telling it for him. And then by the time that he got Rusev down, there was a big crowd reaction. And he's a guy who hasn't been getting a lot of TV time and hasn't been getting a lot of like character stuff. And he can do like really fun, funny character stuff. Yeah. And so like, he's a guy who I think is like, man, really, really good. I don't want to say enamored. I do want to say enamored. I'm enamored with a lot of the locker room, in the sense of like, these are guys who are really, really good. Like, we don't have anybody in the locker room who's like, oh man, this guy's a stiff, I don't want to have to work with this guy, right?
Yeah.
Like, that just doesn't, it doesn't exist anymore, right? Like, everybody's in-ring work is at a certain level, but like somebody like Luke Harper, and you just look at him and he was earlier this year, he was getting like, they were giving him an opportunity and he was getting super over. Not super over, not like mega over. People are chanting Harper.
He was starting to get over though.
But like, he was coming out, people were reacting to him, people were really getting into his matches, but then there comes the part of, okay, it's WrestleMania time. TV time is really hard to get a hold of. He kind of drops out of the scene, and then it just hasn't picked back up for him yet. And he was somebody who he had just switched from being a bad guy to a good guy, and people really starting to get behind him. And then
that match with
he just
Randy
kind of falls off it. Yo, so good.
Yeah.
So good.
I'm a huge Harper fan. I think he is so underutilized, and I don't know if underappreciated, probably not, but I just think he could do so much. Like, when I first saw him, I was like, there's a guy that works Taker at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Because
he's magic.
He's so good at what he does, and the presentation of the character, and like, I see him and I believe. And if I'm just let's say I get a bunch of people over and I say, hey, let's watch some wrestling, and they don't normally watch, they would see that dude and go, oh yeah, he's off. Yeah. And believe what he's presenting, but then he wrestles like that, and he can have a ladder match with Dolph Ziggler where you're just like, what the hell just happened? He's so good. So good.
Yeah, he's really talented too, and like you said too, sometimes at some point, it's I guess it's they said it's hard when you're not getting time, but when you get it, you have to capitalize on it, and sometimes guys have an easier time figuring that out, and sometimes it takes other guys longer. But I mean, he's so good. I mean, it's going to come from at some point, I would think, that something will happen for him, and hopefully it's sooner rather than later, because I'm a huge fan of his as well. And there's not a lot of guys like him that size that can move like that, do the things that he does, and he's if he got a little more microphone time too, he could really develop his character, because he's a pretty engaging and witty guy too.
Yeah, he really is. So this is one of my concerns, and I call there's almost been like in between the guys who came up through like the NXT type stuff, who have really been pushed to the forefront. Mm-hmm. And there's been like an in-between generation that's almost like kind of the lost generation, right?
Yep.
And they and one of the things that I get concerned about for them is that they're getting, like, you don't realize that, okay, now that they've been on TV for X number of years, they're starting to get older, and we all have a limited number of bumps. And like, this hit me really hard, you know, when I was forced to retire. Like, we all have a limited number of bumps that we can take. And so, like, if you're in your prime and you get given like an opportunity and then you do really well with it, but then it gets pulled back, and then now all of a sudden you're 37 or you're 38 or you're getting close to 40, you don't, like, time isn't on your side anymore. You know what I mean? And like, I think that's one of the things that some of the guys have a hard time with, is because there's so many talented people on the roster, and they can kind of do pick 'em, choose 'em as far as who they want, you know?
Yeah.
That people see like, okay, I've worked so hard, but then now it's starting to slip through my grasp, and I can see getting lost in the shuffle. They're not going to come back around to my turn, and then how do I stand out? You know, I was having that conversation with one of the guys this week. It's just being frustrated because he was given like some really good opportunities and really did a great job with it. And then now the opportunities are gone, and he's no better off than he was before. And then what do you do? You know, like,
yeah.
That kind of thing can be demoralizing, but you try to like lift them up and say, hey, listen, like, sometimes, you know, hopefully it'll come back around. But even if it doesn't, this is my thing, and I don't know if it helps guys or not. I said, even if it doesn't come around, when is your contract up? Because there's never been a better time to, if you feel like you're not getting your value here in WWE, you can go make good money outside, you know? And so that's the silver lining to people who feel like they may never get a real good opportunity. Because you look at Drew McIntyre, right, who got let go, and now they're bringing him in. He's main eventing on Saturday, and he went out and he like killed it. He killed it on the independents. He went out there and he was the man, right? And then he came back and they brought him in, and now he's main eventing a takeover. And if you don't think Drew Galloway is going to be or Drew McIntyre, if you don't think he's going to be on WWE TV, on SmackDown or Raw in the next couple of years in a good spot, I think that's ludicrous. He's done such a great job, you know, and I think guys can go out and do that now. So that's the kind of silver lining that I try to give people, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, now you talked about retiring and how difficult that is. Now, all three of us have had to do it, but all three of us have got as high as you can get in this industry. We've all been world champion. We've all, attained things that a lot of people don't.
Right. Two out of three of us main evented WrestleMania.
I wasn't going to say that part.
Oh, okay. Edit it out, Matt.
But you know, we were able to get those things and grasp those things, and you still find retirement difficult. And you talked about wanting to come back. You still have that fire and urge to do it.
Yeah, and so it's interesting because like Road Dogg was talking to me it was just like 2 weeks ago, and he was like, do you ever sit back and think how incredible it was, like, that it even happened that you main evented WrestleMania? Because that was never the trajectory for me, or anything like that. And like and just what a cool moment that is. And then like you can always hang your hat on that type of thing, right? And to me, it's like yes, it was a very cool moment, but I am very much like, I live like in the now, right? And so part of my deal is, so I like, whenever I've had like a hard time, when I was really sick as a kid, you know, like, I missed a lot of school, and like there was one time I missed school for an entire month. I couldn't, like, I have a really weak immune system, and I missed school for an entire month. And one of the things that always got me through that, which is really weird to think about now, is wrestling, right? And people ask me a lot, you know, would you ever want your daughter to wrestle? And I always tell them, I don't care if she wrestles or not. I want her to find something for her that was like what wrestling has been for me. Like, find something that you just absolutely love, that like when life is really hard, like you have this thing that you can turn to that makes you feel better, right? And so it's really hard when people tell me all the time, like, oh, well, you should be, you know, you've got a kid now, shouldn't you be happy and all that kind of stuff. I'm very happy. But there's also, wrestling is something that nothing else can replace for me, right?
Let me ask you a question.
So there's,
just going off. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but going off of something you just kind of said, where, you know, main eventing WrestleMania and what a cool moment that is. But is there any part of you, because after is kind of when all the issues started to kind of come to the forefront, right? I mean, you never even really had a chance to run with the title that you won at WrestleMania. Is there any of that weighing on your decision to try to come back? Is that part of it? Like, you feel like there's unfinished business in that sense, or there's something that you need to, loose ends you need to tie up with that kind of?
No, I mean, I'm not driven by that really. I'm driven by my how much I enjoy the performance of it. You know, like, so, I mean, I do honestly have goals for wrestling. I would like, it was really interesting. I had a conversation with Vince. Gosh, I don't know when it was. I don't know if it was before WrestleMania 30 or if it was after WrestleMania 30, but it went something along the lines like this. It's like, he had said something along the lines to me of like, you know, we really want to push Roman to be the next John Cena. And I had said to him that, you know, boss, I 100% support that, but I just want you to know that I want to be the next John Cena, right? Like, don't tell me you want this other guy to be John Cena. Like, and I'm not somebody who says, like, I'm not very confrontational. I'm not somebody who says, like, I'm the man, you need to push me. I just said it. But to be honest with you, sir, that's great that you want that for him. I want to be the next John Cena, and I'm going to push myself to be that person, right? And then I didn't get a chance to do it. And is that disappointing? Yes. I'm in this process. I'm in this really weird process right now. So this might be the part that gets like the most, if people are drawn attention to something that we say. This, like, if you guys want to talk about the, like, what I'm actually going through right now, this is kind of what I'm going through. So when I had my last concussion, they sent me to these doctors, right? So these are not my doctors. WWE sent me to Barrows Neurological in Phoenix. They're concussion specialists. They cleared me. Then I was like, okay, they cleared me. I'm good to go. But no, you're not good to go. Okay, so what else can I do? Send me to anybody else. Send me to, like, should we get a third opinion? Yes. Okay. Send me to UCLA. They sent me there. I didn't choose these doctors. And it's a team of doctors, and they're concussion specialists, and they run me through all these tests. At the end of all these tests, they're like, you're cleared to go. And I was like, yes, I'm cleared to go. And then it's like, no, you're not cleared to go. Right. And then I start doing like this experimental testing. Right. And it's like, so it's stuff that's not like even FDA approved and all that kind of stuff. And so I did this. I worked with these people at Evoke Neuroscience, which they're doing awesome stuff. It's like impact testing that WWE does, where you, what they do is they test you before, like they test you when you feel great, right? And then they hook an EEG up to your brain. They're doing reflex testing, and then after
like a fight or after you've had a concussion, they do it again, and you're not allowed to return to even train until you match up with your initial results, right? So,
Okay.
but that doesn't really have anything to do with like what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to get more ammunition in behind me to where I can get cleared. So I go and I do this, and they give me this report that says I have a lesion in the temporal parietal region of my brain. And I'm just like, holy, am I allowed to cuss on this show?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep.
Okay. I was like, holy shit. And it's like a lesion. And I'm just like, man, like, that's it. I'm done. You know, like I'm finished. And I had actually, before I had taken my first test, the day I was in New York City to take the test, I had talked to Vince, and I told him, I said, like, I don't understand. Like, I was cleared by these concussion specialists. How can this not? And, you know, and he was going through some of the stuff with me in the process and everything. And then I said, okay, I'm doing this test literally today. I'm doing it, and I should get my results next week. And he said, okay, let me know when you get the results. And I got the results, and it said I had a lesion in the temporal parietal region of my brain. And I was just like, oh, man. So I called Vince, and I told him, and I got off the phone, and I was crying. And then, like, the next week, he called me, and he called me on a Saturday, and he said, Raw's in Seattle on Monday. This is before WrestleMania. It's up to you. You don't have to do it, but we'd like you to give your retirement speech in Seattle. And I was like, I didn't want to do it at first, and then I talked to Bree about it, and I was just like, man, my friends, my family could be there. You know, it's probably best. And so I give my retirement speech. It gets a lot of like outside media. I do an interview with ESPN on the Tuesday maybe or the Wednesday about it and about the lesion in my brain. And then all of a sudden, one of the doctors that had cleared me calls me and said, Bryan, what happened? Like, you ran through all this testing and everything was fine. What happened? And I told him what had happened, and I said, you know, they found a lesion in the temporal parietal region of my brain. And he goes, wait, hold up, a lesion? And I said, yeah. And I don't know what a lesion means to you guys. A lesion to me means that you have a cut, right? Like, I have a cut on my brain.
Like an open wound or something.
I have a cut on my brain. And he goes, no, lesion in medical terminology is a very vague thing. It just says something is there, right? Like, we don't know what it is, so we call it a lesion in the temporal parietal region of your brain. And then he goes on to look at the results of the test, and essentially what it is that my reflexes in the temporal parietal region of my brain are slower than they would expect. Right? So in the report, they put lesion, a lesion in the temporal parietal region of your brain. And it's just like, and then, so I went and retook the test, and it's the same thing. And so it said your reflexes are a little bit slower. But one of the things that, it's just hard because they're not slower than, say, your average person, but they're slower than like your MMA athlete or people that they test for a lot of this kind of stuff, right? So I have average reflex time. And I'm just like, oh no. That's like, I don't think they understand. I'm just an average person. I'm not a real athlete. And it's like, and so, there's this thing, and it's just like, I was just like, oh no, like there's been this huge misunderstanding, right? And then, and the Evoke Neuroscience people, they were great. The doctor that I worked with, she had told me right up front, she goes, this is not what our testing is used for. She said, this is a return to play protocol, right? This would work best if we had a baseline for you, and then we could test you again to see where you're at in return to your baseline, but they're going off of, okay, what they would expect from me, and it's slower than what they expect from me, right? And they're just, so all of that to say, and then after that, but I was still okay with it. I said, in my head, I was like, if there is anything wrong with me, right, Bree and I want to have a baby. At that point,
she wasn't pregnant or anything yet. We want to have a baby. I just want to live a healthy life, right? And I wanted to start moving away from wrestling because I love wrestling so much. It's really hard to be that close to it. Well, then, so Hunter called me and asked me to do the commentating thing for the Cruiserweight Classic. I said, yeah, I would love to do that. I'd love to help people get over all that kind of stuff. You know, I'd love to be able to do that. That seems really cool. But then they called me and they didn't ask. They told me to be SmackDown GM, right? And I was like, oh, okay. And I thought I'd be okay with it. But then all of a sudden being around it every single week and not being able to do it. Like, I was never a guy who enjoyed doing promos, right? I would do it because I would do it and I got decent at it. I would never say I was great at it, but I got decent at it because that was part of the job. That was a requirement. So I tried to do my best to do as good as I possibly could with it, you know? And, but that's not fun for me. It's not fun for me to go out there and do promos. And so all of a sudden I'm around it and I'm around it. I'm not being able to do the part of it that I love the most. And then they had me out there at ringside during like an AJ Styles Dean Ambrose match. And it literally tore my heart apart, right? Like, it's just this weird thing where it's just like, what am I doing? Like, what? No, that's what I want to be doing. I don't want to be sitting here doing this. I want to be doing that. And then all of a sudden, you know, then the part of me, I am not a very ambitious person in regards to 99% of life, but I was always pretty ambitious with my passion for wrestling.
Right.
And then I was just like, you know what? No, I'm not okay with this, you know? And then I started looking into other stuff. And then so actually when I contacted Christian, it was because I've been doing some of the stuff with the concussion stuff about improving my brain function and all that kind of stuff. I've started working with the Joe Namath Institute with Dr. Barry Miskin in Florida, and they're doing like these new scans that are so they're doing this FDA testing, which I'm not approved for the FDA testing part, but I can still do the protocol stuff. And so they did this thing called a nuclear SPECT scan on my brain. And what that said was essentially when it came back, it's like my brain is essentially what you take any college football player in the country, because I have had multiple concussions. I've had 10 documented concussions, 4 post-concussion seizures. And but with that said, my brain is no worse than your average college football player's brain, right? You're just your average run-of-the-mill, not a guy who you think like, hey, that guy's a high risk for brain damage, right? But still, anybody who's played any contact sports has a little something there, you know? Yeah, and then we've started doing this hyperbaric oxygen therapy treatment, and I've done 40 treatments. And then they go back and they do this nuclear SPECT scan, which actually shows how your brain is working and stuff. And there's this vast improvement. And Bree sees this vast improvement. And then Dr. Miskin thinks within 120 total treatments, so 80 treatments more, that my brain could get back to being where you would, if you looked at it from any other spectrum, you would think that I'd never done any contact sports my entire life. And now, with all of this positive stuff, I'm thinking there's no reason why I can't return to doing what I love. And it may never be full-time, and it may never be this idea that I'm going to go in and I'm going to be the guy who main events every live event and all that kind of stuff. I'm not even sure if I want that. Now that I have a child, I don't want to be away from her that much, you know? Yeah. But to say that I can't do what, like to wrestle, say, 50 to 100 matches a year, right, or to say that I can't do what Jerry Lawler and Terry Funk are still doing in their 60s. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of where I'm at. So it's been kind of a real work in progress, and it's really tested my patience. And and I think the hard part when I look back on it is I feel like, the prime years of my career I lost, but I'm really working on like, okay, well, this is something that I love and I'm going to do it. But I also want to give the caveat of this. If at any point along with all of this, it's somebody said, like, there's a real indication that I should not be wrestling, I don't want to wrestle. Like, my health is 100% more important than coming back to wrestling. Being a good father is more important than going out there and expanding on my beliefs that doing more hammer locks in wrestling is good for the business.
Well, that was my take on it too, right? Like when my stuff happened, it was right at the time. I kind of had two back to back, and one was pretty close to when I was having my daughter, and then one was not long after I had my daughter. And then, it just puts things in a different perspective, right? My thing was, do I want to push this, or do I want to be able to have a conversation with my daughter when she's 15 years old, And that was kind of my thought process on that situation at that time, but I do, we and I have had some conversations about, feeling certain ways and kind of what we were dealing with and things like that. And, you just called me up out of the blue and told me about this, this stuff you were doing. I'm very excited about it. So yeah, definitely it sounds like it's definitely beneficial for the things that you've been telling me.
Yeah. Well, and, and one of the things too that I hope that my daughter picks up from me is, like people have said this to me before. Actually, somebody in WWE management said this to me like last week. They said, with your daughter, why do you even want to do this? And I think also part of it is my daughter is one of the reasons why I do want to do it, is this idea of teaching her that, like, hey, whatever your dream is, whatever your version of wrestling is, like, you can do it, and you can't let, like, just because somebody says you can't do this because we think this, that's not a good reason to stop. Like, it'd be different if all the doctors had said, this is bad for your health. I mean, you should not do this,
Yeah.
But if all of them, if for the most part, all of them are saying, yeah, you can do this, but people are saying that you can't, like, that's not a good reason to stop doing something that you love. You know what I mean? And so, so kind of pushing that forward with my daughter and just my beliefs that, like, hey, we get this. We are very fortunate. We get this one opportunity to be alive, and, like, we're at a very, people always talk bad about, like, oh man, like, life sucks or life this is the greatest time to be alive in human history, right? And despite, all the stuff that's going on, like so I don't know when this airs, but Charlottesville happened last week, right? Last Saturday.
Yep. Yeah.
And despite all that, there has never been a time in human history where there is less violence than there is right now. For the very first time in human history, more people are dying because of overeating than because of starvation, right? More people are dying because they kill themselves rather than because other people are killing them, right? Like, this is an incredible just time to be alive and human, and there's obviously a lot of stuff as humans that we need to work on and all that kind of stuff. But you get this one life and this incredible opportunity, the best time in human history to be alive, and you don't want to look back when you're getting to the end of the tunnel and being like, man, the things that I like, the thing that really, like, drove my passion, I stopped doing it because somebody told me I shouldn't, like, I just don't think that's not fair to me, and that's not fair to kind of to tell that to other people too. So that's kind of a driving motivation of mine too, is doing it rather than saying, like, oh, you're doing this despite having a daughter. I'm doing it more for my daughter than anything else. So, but that also,
well,
I'm not opposed to the idea that people think I'm delusional. So that's a very real possibility.
I have to say, so. I'm
just have Kendrick.
I'm relieved though. I'm relieved to hear though that if you do get word that it's not a good idea, that you're open to that, because I get where you're coming from, because one thing that I've found in not having wrestling anymore, I needed to find something else to try and fill that gap, and I don't have any kind of choice or any doctors telling me I can do it again. So I was forced to really sit down and go, okay, what else can fill this void? And thankfully, I've found that. But I need that creative outlet. I need that something in order to be a better dad, in order to be a better partner, in order to be a better man. I still need to be that version of me, whether it's, and it's not wrestling. So now I've stumbled into acting, and it has, for me, helped fill that void. So I get where you're coming from. I really do. And I'm very thankful to hear that you're going to be, I just want you to be safe, be careful. And I know you will, obviously, but, yeah, it's interesting stuff, man.
Yeah. And it's so weird too, because with the concussion stuff, a lot of it is so subjective right now, because they don't have much hard science on it. You know what I mean? Like there's some really interesting stuff out there. Like ESPN just did this thing where they tested. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna make this up, but I think it's somewhat accurate. They tested 111 dead football players' brains, and 110 of them, that, like the headline said, 110 of them had CTE. Right, but that's not the case. The 110 of them had the tau protein that they associate with CTE, right? And so it's
okay.
And what of those people actually had symptoms of having CTE? Like what of that is happening? There's not a lot of, and I'm not saying that, by no means am I saying that none of those guys had CTE. I'm not like a CTE denial person or whatever, but I'm just saying that there's not a lot of research. They don't have a lot of conclusive stuff on the concussion stuff, and so a lot of it is subjective. It's like when they talk about some of the CTE deaths and people who had real symptoms, there were also a lot of those guys who had done a lot of other drugs and that sort of thing, and they don't take into account those effects on people's brains. And when I think one of the things that I hope to do about being open about all my stuff. And I had talked to WWE about this, but they're in a different position because of they're a company who people are suing for concussion stuff, right? But one of the things I want to open the discussion up of saying hey, because the media covers it in a certain way, here I am, I'm a vegetarian. I've never drank in my life. I've never smoked in my life. I've never done any drugs in my life. So any damage that's done to my brain is purely because of concussions. And whoever wants to study my brain, whoever wants to come on and be like, hey, we'd like to do this test on your brain, as long as it doesn't involve too many needles, because I'm scared to death of needles, I'm open for it. I'm open for the conversation to be talked about. And I feel like I'm a very good, when you look at science and you need okay, so when they're doing a test study of, okay, is running good for your heart, right? And they have a group of people who run and a group of people who don't run, and then they test them. Well, what are the people who aren't running? What are they also doing? Are they smoking? Are they doing this? Are they doing that? Or whatever, It's
right.
I think from a scientific perspective, it's nice to have somebody like me who's okay, I've never done anything else. You know what I mean? So any damage that's going on up there is purely because of the stuff that I've done to my body, So yeah, I'm just trying to, one of the things in talking about it openly in podcasts like this is not, I'm no way, shape, or form, I'm trying to put pressure on WWE to have me return to wrestle, because they have been so supportive of everything that I've done, you know what I mean? And people don't understand that. They have been 100% behind everything that I've been doing, kind of behind the scenes and that sort of thing. And so, but my hopes in talking about it more so is to open up the discussion. So.
Well, I mean, I'm really glad that you had this outlet. I had no idea we'd go down this road, so it was very cool to kind of shine some light on it. And I hope that some more eyeballs, or I guess ear holes, this is going to get spread around, and people are going to talk about this. And so I know you're okay with that now, so that's cool. I think this may, start the discussion of some of those things that you're talking about. And it's in its infancy in terms of what we understand about it, like you said. And so a lot of the ideas are subjective. It's an interesting subject. We could probably talk about it for like 3 more hours.
And I don't know how long your podcast is. I'm looking at the time on my phone saying that we've been on the phone for an hour and 36 minutes. And I'm like, man, I don't know how long your podcast is. But one of the
as long as we want it to be.
Yeah. So one of the things that I find very interesting too is Dr. Javier Cardenas, who was the guy who talked to me in Barrows Neurological in Phoenix. One of the things that he had talked to me about is going and talking to kids about concussions. And I think one of the things that is important, one of the reasons also why I want to talk about this is because I think kids, like high school football players especially, are sometimes afraid to speak up if they have a concussion, not because they're afraid that something like what happened to me will happen to them, in the sense of like, hey, I love playing football, and if I tell them I have a concussion, they're going to tell me I can't play football, right? And that's also part of the discussion. One of the reasons why it's been very hard for WWE to clear me, and this is my own fault, is because I was not honest with them about my concussions, right? And that's a big part of it. Like, your doctors have to be able to trust you as an individual, right? To when they ask you. And now this is, everybody who's an athlete, if the doctor comes up and says to them, like right after they've had a concussion, are you okay? They're going to say, yeah, I'm okay, because that's just who we are, right? As performers, athletes, whatever, you want to get back in there. But you need to be because you don't realize what's happened. But a day or two after, if you're still feeling the effects, and you're feeling the effects, and you say that you're still okay, that's not right? That's not good, because you can still return to play. You just have to stop it soon enough, And one of the things that I failed at is I was so afraid of like them finding out, right? Like I'm so afraid of them finding out that I didn't want to ever acknowledge what had happened, right? So like just keep plugging forward, and that's not healthy, and that's not good for you, and that's when you need to be honest with your doctors. I think that's the kind of discussion that we need to have with the high school football players and the college football players and maybe even the NFL players, is that, and it's becoming more spread out through all those, but any impact sport really, is that, hey, if you're open about it, that you have a better chance of healing, right? Yeah. If you get a concussion and then you try to deny it for the next 2 weeks and you keep doing an impact sport, you're making it worse for yourself, and you're going to make it a lot harder for you to ever return to play, and just being open with doctors about it. So I talked to Dr. Cardenas about that sort of thing, and we haven't done any talks. We haven't done any of the talks with kids yet. I'm not sure if I'd have to get that approved by WWE or not, but yeah, that's one of the things that I'd really like to do, and I think it's important to spread that message too. It's not just about like, hey, what do they know? What do they not know? It's also about us as athletes accurately talking to our doctors in a way that they can help us. So,
it's fascinating, because in our industry, part of our job is essentially to make it look like we're hurt all the time. And so it can be hard, unless you really have a fine eye. It can be really hard to distinguish between, did he just get his bell rung? Or whereas with football, with any other sport, and now with protocols changing and everything, I think teams and leagues are having to take extra measures. But with our industry, you can hide it. You can.
Well, it's really funny because so I get this.
That's
all
an important thing to put out there, is not to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, not to do that. It's really funny because I get people like sending me this thing all the time of like, like, oh look, here's Daniel Bryan having a seizure in the middle of a match, because I've had 4 post-concussion seizures. I was wrestling Sheamus in a singles match, and I headbutted Sheamus. It was not Sheamus's fault in any way, shape, or form, but I cut my head in doing it, right? In no way, shape, or form did I have a concussion. Then I fall to the floor. Wade Barrett gives me the bull hammer, boom, and I'm bleeding and I'm convulsing on the floor. And people use look, he shouldn't wrestle. He hit a seizure in the ring, and it's like, no, I mean that's not, that was part of what we do. That was not it. Where I failed was a week or two later when I had the concussion and then tried to tell him I was okay for over a week after I had it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, and I think that's hard. That makes it harder for us as performers, but it also makes it hard for the WWE doctors to identify what's real and what's not. And that's where, as the boys too, we need to, because we are so, you get afraid of oh no, if I tell them about this, then I'm not going to be able to work and I'm not going to be able to make money and all this kind of stuff. But that's also where
your spot and all of those things.
It's weird because there's that idea you don't ever want to be a stooge, but you also want to protect your friends. You know what I mean? And just say but you need to talk to them about hey man, you're not okay. You need to we need to talk to somebody about this. And there's also, one of the wonderful things to me about wrestling is that you can also protect people who have head injuries. My last match, right? My last match, I didn't take a single bump, right? And the match to me was really fun and good. It was me and John Cena against Cesaro and Tyson Kidd, and I couldn't have been working with a better three people, right, than to do that sort of thing. But I didn't take a single bump. All three of those guys protected me in a way that you can do that in wrestling. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's neither here nor there, I guess.
Well, it does make a difference, though, because like you said, Jerry and Terry Funk can go out there and throw fireballs, and they're perfectly, they're not taking bumps.
Yeah, absolutely. So.
No, I think.
Well,
I think the protocol, that we were talking about, I think that it is. I think it's gotten to the point too where, like you said, years ago, people were afraid of losing their spot or not getting paid or whatever it is, and I think that with the newer generation that's come in, I think that they do understand that they have to speak up when something's not right. Personally, I never had any issue with when I wasn't feeling right telling somebody. It was after I retired when you and I have had a few conversations about things and kind of knew what each other were going through, and I wasn't always comfortable after talking about some of the stuff, but you have made me feel more comfortable with the stuff that you do about talking about my situation too. So thanks for that.
Yeah. I'm so one of the things that Dr. Barry Miskin is the guy that I'm working with at the Joe Namath Institute, and I texted him and I said, hey, I've got a couple of friends who have some concussion stuff. Is it okay if I send them your stuff? And he said to me, this is my life's work. His helping people who have brain injuries and stuff is what wrestling is to me, right? That's what he lives for. That's what his passion is. And I think it's really cool to see people like him and neurologists all over the country. There's some great people out there doing some amazing work. And I think that also needs to be drawn attention to too, so.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've kept you for 2 hours now, dude, and but
do you know what? This is what happens. Bria's in New York with the baby, right? I am a new dad who doesn't have the baby around. I don't know what to do with myself, right?
Yeah,
This baby has taken up literally every second of my day for the last 3 months. And now Bree and the baby are, so not only is the baby gone, but Bree's gone. Thank you guys for occupying my time.
Just think of how many books you could have read in this time.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I would have. Yeah,
we took away book time.
I would have been all the way through something else.
Right. I would have been on chapter 4.
Well, man, it was really good to catch up with you, but also to hear where you're at, where you want to go, and one of the most important things I think you said is living in. I've always said there's this one song that I use as a mantra, and it's live in the present tense. It's so important, and not many of us do it. And it can be hard to stick to that, and sometimes you need reminders. So I think this podcast, as much as, hey, it's a wrestling podcast, I truly feel like this could be the type of conversation that will remind people to do that. So it's very illuminating. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
So that was, man, that was really enlightening, and he was just, that was an awesome talk.
Yeah, I had no idea where we were going to go, which we never usually do, but that went in down roads and some really, really interesting ideas. Some big bombs that I think people are going to, be talking about. Not in a bad way. I mean, that was really,
like, he really is, like, when you talk
dude.
about like good human beings, he's a good human being. He's a good person, a good guy, very genuine, and that's not only hard to come by in wrestling business, but in life in general. I mean, he's generally a good guy that cares for other people, and that's hard to find.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed my conversations with him when I was, still on the road, and since when I do go back, and very interesting conversation. And but I will say I was relieved to hear him say that if anyone says to him no, then it's no. And that made me feel good, because initially, as a new dad with a new baby, that's my first fear. So that was good to hear too. I'm glad that got covered as well. But a really, really great conversation, and we talked a lot. So we should probably just.
Oh, we gotta get out of here, Edge. It was a
we gotta go.
Oh, we gotta get out of here. But first, I wanna tell you to follow us on
Well, you know what that means.
ENC Pod.
That means that you can follow us on the Twitter machine at ENC Pod. And there's an email that pretty much better than me, Christian.
That's right. It's ecpodofawesomeness@gmail.com, brother. Oh, it's a big one. You can follow Edge at EdgeRatedRN at Christian4Peeps. That's me, brother. Brother. Oh, you can check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Play. Ooh, and thanks to our sponsor, Harry's, brother. I'm out of here.
You went from Gordon Soley to I don't know who.
Oh, I don't know what I'm talking
about.
That's it, baby. I'm fired up. I'm wired. I got the yerba mate running through my veins.
Here's just gonna go. Here we go, baby. What the fuck just happened there?